Here I am. Oh, hello. Welcome, Sasha. Good to see you. Let's see here. Mute. See if I can I share it? Can I? No? There it is. Okay. We're going to share it, and then we're going to get down to business. There it is. Hello, JF. Welcome. I never liked Blade Runner. What a way to start. Glad you could join us, though. All right, let's get this shared on Tumblr, too. I've got the ending credits of Raw rolling right now. Starting late today. I'm sorry about that. Figured, hey, I'll get a sandwich at Subway. And then, of course, there's an entire varsity volleyball team there that I have to wait in line behind. Don't get home till a few minutes ago, and I have to watch the last few minutes of Raw because I'm talking about it today. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Think we got it. Whoa, hello. That's sweet of you, JF. I never liked Blade Runner. I love your channel, though. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Hello, Cinnamon San. Welcome. Jack, yo. Good to see you. Oh, wow. Chaz's Dungeon. Finally saw Mother in a cinema. Glad to hear it. God, I don't want to watch a trailer. I hate that. I love Netflix. Netflix is a great, wonderful thing, but Jesus, it annoys me that they gotta just automatically start a trailer. I get bugged just by the fact that when a movie goes to its end credits, that they gotta slide it up into the corner there. Because that's the time I like watching the credits to a movie. I like, letting the thing settle emotionally. It's like, okay, I've just had this experience. Now I got to process it. And then they just they shove it out of your way and here, next thing, watch the next thing. And now it's even more annoying because they give you a countdown. You've got 20 seconds to go back to the credits, and my controller turns off automatically. So I got to struggle to turn the controller back on and go back to the credits before this trailer that I don't want to watch starts and takes over. That really bugs me. It's, I guess, a minor thing compared to the fact that, I get to watch thousands of movies at the press of a button. That's pretty nice, anytime I want. So there's good things about it, but that is an annoyance, I have to admit. That does really annoy me. Let's see. Film school failure, welcome. Netflix sucks. Nuclear timer to next shitty program starts immediately after the credits begin. Yeah, it bugs me. But what are you going to do? There's the good and the bad to everything. But Chaz's Dungeon, glad you finally saw Mother. I hope you enjoyed it. It's quite an experience, especially in the cinema. I need to turn my TV off too. Hold on, just one moment. There we go. Oh boy, it's hectic around here right now. We're in the middle of a move. My brother is getting ready to head up to Portland. He's moving out of here. I'm moving out of here as well. I'm going to get up to Portland in about 2 more weeks, thereabouts. So yeah, I'm moving out of here, moving in with my parents during that time. Yeah, just to get everything set up that I need to get set up, and then I'm off too. This will be the last show that I do in this room. Actually, it'll be different. I don't know what it's going to be next few times, but there you go. So yeah, we're moving, and yeah, I was trying to get some food, which took a lot longer than I thought. I was trying to finish Raw. It's crazy, and I wasn't even planning on doing a show today either because my brother is moving up this weekend. We were going to start the move today. And I was going to go up there to check out the house that I'm moving in with him and Film School Failure right there in the chat. We got a place together, and I was going to go up there to check it out with everyone, but somebody fell ill, so we had to postpone the trip. So suddenly I'm doing a show today. I didn't think I was going to. I just woke up and it's like, oh, we're not leaving today. So I guess I better do a show then. So yeah, if it's a little rough this time around, I apologize, but we're trying to make it work. I did see Blade Runner, though. I did see Blade Runner 2049 last night, and oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. I will try to avoid any and all spoilers, but oh my God. Has everyone seen this movie? It's so good. But before I get into that, let's see what we got going on in the chat here. Sasha talking Denis Villeneuve today. This should be an interesting one. Yeah. Oh man. Every time I see a Denis Villeneuve movie, I fall more and more in love with him. Like, not just his work, but just the man himself as well has stolen my heart. Good Lord. What a great filmmaker that guy is. What a great filmmaker. I rewatched Sicario not too long ago. What a great movie that is. And now seeing Blade Runner. Oh, wow. He is like the next Stanley Kubrick. He's the next great visionary of cinema. It's so exciting to see that somebody like this, has come around again. You just know, looking at his work, he's going to go down as one of the all-time great cinematic visionaries. And it's like, it feels like it's been so long since we've had a new name like that to throw around in the same sentence as like Orson Welles, Stanley Kubrick. Gosh, I don't even know what else, but like those filmmakers that, it's just like their work is going to go down in cinema history. These are going to be films that we're going to be talking about for a long time to come. It's so exhilarating. It's so exhilarating to witness. I cannot wait to see what Villeneuve does next. And it's great too, because he's an amazing filmmaker, and he's also one of the most sought after filmmakers in the world as well. They want him for everything. So he's probably going to be working a lot. I could not be more thrilled for him. He might do Dune. If he does, watching Blade Runner, the thought even occurred to me, this guy would make an amazing Dune adaptation. He's got something else that he's doing with Jake Gyllenhaal that's going to come out next year, perhaps. They're even courting him for the Cleopatra remake, which I don't know about that. But Jesus, this guy's got the Midas touch. Everything he does just turns to gold. It's amazing. Oh, I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled that Blade Runner lived up to the expectations. I was so thrilled. But anyways, I said I'm going to look at the chat here. What do we got going on? Sasha, I got and watched both Trainspotting 2 and Free Fire, both on your recommendation. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. I hope you enjoyed them. I really enjoyed both of those. I hope you did as well. But yeah, I thought they were both tremendously fun movies. Let's see. What do we have here? Whoa, I missed a lot of stuff. That was quick. Let's see. Had Sasha again had Baby Driver Blu-ray posted to me yesterday too. Have you seen that one yet? Did you see that in theaters, or is this going to be your first time seeing it? Because that's a great movie too. Chaz's Dungeon. Every time I watched a film in a cinema and they showed the trailer for Blade Runner 2049, I left the cinema. That's right. You mentioned that. You didn't want anything spoiled. That's a smart move. Going into this, like they've been pretty good with the trailers, not to spoil any plot details or anything. Like going into this, pretty much everything that happened really took me by surprise, and it's so smart. Like I was trying to guess and anticipate what was going to happen next. The movie was always 2 steps ahead of me. It was so great. Oh man. Well, what else do we got here? LJ, welcome. Hey mate, glad you could join us. Oh, Jack talking about the Netflix thing. I hate that too. It pissed me off so much when I watched The Assassination of Jesse James. And that's a movie that, like, when it's over, Assassination of Jesse James is such a beautiful, poetic, profound movie. Like at the end, you do just kind of want to sit in silence for a little while, just like let me process that. That was such an incredible experience. And then yeah, you got something flashing in your face. Watch the Ridiculous Six. Look at this. Look at that. No, I don't want to. Just give me a moment. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. The problem was that the Blade Runner trailer lasted for 4 minutes, so I kept going in and out until the end of the trailer. Hopefully nothing's been spoiled. Have you seen it yet? Have you seen Blade Runner? Because if you haven't, go see it. Go see it immediately. Oh my God, it's so good. Let's see. Sasha, I noticed you are not using Wirecast anymore. That's right. Yeah, I switched over to Google Hangouts, which I have you to thank for that. I never even knew that was an option until I joined some of your streams. And figured it out for myself, and yeah, started doing streams this way, having other people on the show. It's a lot of fun. So thank you for that. I probably would have never even known I could do it this way if I hadn't appeared on on a couple of your streams, actually. So thank you, sir. Chaz's Dungeon Mother was fucking great. All right, glad to hear it. Glad you enjoyed it. That's great. It's a trip, man. It really is a trip. Let's see what else we got here. Cinnamon San saw Detroit, which I have not seen that. Mother, and Victoria and Abdul this week. Were they all good? What were your thoughts on those? I've only seen Mother. And yeah, I've heard, I don't really know anything about Victoria and Abdul. I saw a trailer for it a little while ago, but I don't really know anything beyond that. Detroit, I kind of heard mixed things about, but Catherine Bigelow is a pretty interesting filmmaker. And yeah, Mother, extremely polarizing, but I think really fascinating for that reason. It's one that I really liked. Let's see. Film School Failure. Mother and Blade Runner were great. That's right. You saw Film School Failure, Felix. You saw Blade Runner, didn't you? You saw both. I remember you told me about this. You saw the final cut of Blade Runner on 35 millimeter on a double feature with the premiere of Blade Runner 2049, which sounds like it would have been a phenomenal evening. God, both of those movies, especially back to back, how well Denis Villeneuve managed to emulate the original and still build upon it and make very much his own film that pays homage to Ridley Scott's masterpiece, but still creates, its own feeling, does its own thing. I'm going to keep looking at the chat before I go too deep into that, just to make sure I don't get too far behind. But, oh, man. Blade Runner 2049 really was a masterpiece. I am so happy to be saying that. Let's see. Felix. Oh, LJ subbing to Felix on Film School Failure. Everybody should go do that. Hopefully Felix, he doesn't have a lot uploaded right now, but hopefully, yeah, we'll all start collaborating on stuff, getting things posted. But yeah, everyone, yeah, I do recommend you go sub to Felix over on Film School Failure. Cinnamon Sand, Detroit was very tense. Okay, that's good to hear. So it sounds like you liked it then. Yeah, I was hearing mixed things on it. I wasn't quite sure what to think about that one. I probably will see it at some point. Because yeah, I think Catherine Bigelow is a really interesting filmmaker, and I've been kind of mixed on her stuff, but I feel like her movies are always ones at least worth seeing. Let's see. Oh yeah, Felix posted that. I was lucky enough to catch a grindhouse of Blade Runner: The Final Cut and Blade Runner 2049 on Thursday. Chaz's Dungeon. Blade Runner 2049 is not a film. 2049 is an experience. That it is. It absolutely is. It's exactly, it's more of a narrative-driven experience, I found, which I was expecting. You can't really make a film like the original Blade Runner anymore. The original Blade Runner is really, it's not very concerned with character development. It's not really concerned with storytelling or narrative. It's more an atmospheric experience. What I find so extraordinary about the original Blade Runner, the reason it's one of my all-time favorite movies, is because A, it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. One of the most beautiful films ever made. And the other major reason is that it's one of those movies that really creates a world. You know, it doesn't tell you a story and take you from point A to point B. It just kind of creates this environment, and it allows you to step inside that world for a couple hours and just live in this impossible place, this place that does not exist. It creates a tangible world and just allows you to step inside it and experience it and live it for a couple hours. And Blade Runner 2049, despite being a more strongly grounded narrative film, it has a story, and it is taking you very clearly from point A to point B. It's a mystery. You know, it's a detective film. I'm not going to spoil anything, so don't worry. Not going to spoil any plot details. But at the same time, I was so glad to see, even though it was more grounded in a narrative and character development and a lot of emotion, it's a very emotional movie as well. It still manages to do in its own way the same thing that Ridley Scott did with the original Blade Runner. It creates a world, and it allows you to step inside and live in that world for 2+ hours. And it's such an incredible, like you said, like Chaz's Dungeon said, experience. It's an experience, a visual, aural experience that just envelops you and makes you forget about reality for a second. You just live in that reality created on screen. Oh, it's unbelievable. It is filmmaking at its finest. I enjoyed it so much. So much. And I'm sure I'm going to be talking more and more about it. I'm seeing more comments. Pineapple Squid, so glad to hear Blade Runner is great. It is. See it immediately. It's so good. Daniel Dragici, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. I apologize. I'll just say Daniel. I'm sorry. I'm bad with names. That's my fault. Loved Blade Runner. The only things that were not as good as the original were the score and minimalist environments, and maybe the simplified, accessible movie. Yeah, I would say there is an effort to make this one more palatable to a wider audience. But I don't feel, watching it, I didn't feel as if it was a compromised vision in any way. I think it took a lot of risks. It examined a lot of fascinating themes. In a weird way, I would even call it the most faithful Philip K. Dick adaptation that's ever been put on screen. Which is weird because it's not even really based on one of his works. It's based on a sequel, semi-sequel reboot to a film that was loosely based on one of his short stories. But the whole way the film examines what it is that makes us human, the nature of reality and perception, emotions, consciousness, the whole way it delves into those themes and the way it examines them in visual ways and in emotional ways, I thought was just brilliant, absolutely genius. And even though this isn't like a direct adaptation of any particular Philip K. Dick story, it felt like the most faithful rendering of all of those Philip K. Dick obsessions and themes that I'd ever seen. And that was exciting as well. It's a movie with real substance. It's an extremely intelligent movie. And the original Blade Runner is much more cluttered, you're right, in its aesthetic. And this one is more minimalist. But I like that. Yeah, it is up to interpretation. Everybody's, going to have their own opinion, reaction to that. As far as whether you like the cluttered look of the original Blade Runner or the more minimalist look of this film. I don't really prefer one or the other. I just like that this film decided to do its own thing. You know, it wasn't just going to copy the original. It's like, this is going to be its own movie that is going to pay homage to the original, but this is not a Ridley Scott movie. This is a Denis Villeneuve movie. So he's going to make it in his own way. So I liked that they felt like separate movies to me. They were connected, but they also felt like each was its own film. And I really admired that, and I really enjoyed that. Daniel, oh, and all the French people. It sounds like Denis just hired his friends for half the roles. I think there were multiple languages, though. Like there was some Japanese. There was, I don't know if it was City Speak. I don't know if they brought back City Speak. But yeah, I was catching a bunch of different languages, which I think was intentional. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon 2049 was everything the film could have been to be great. Yeah, it met, even though I was trying to keep my expectations low, I was really hoping this would be something great. And I think it lived up to those expectations that I wouldn't admit that I had. It really was everything I was hoping it would be. It was visionary direction, brilliant design, the cinematography by Roger Deakins, the production design, the special effects, the physical effects, the digital effects. Everything was just stunning. And the sound design was unbelievable. Visually and aurally, it's an incredible, visionary, genius film. And I was so happy. Which is funny, film school failure posts here. Blade Runner made me feel so hopeless. It's not a bright movie. It's not a bright, happy movie, but I don't know. I guess I kind of have weird reactions like that, even though this is a very harsh film. Both Blade Runner movies are very adult movies. They're not movies made for kids. These aren't Marvel movies, certainly. They're really trying to explore themes and ideas that are sometimes really troubling and really disturbing. So yeah, you wouldn't think of these experiences as being like joyous experiences, but just the fact that they're both such brilliant achievements in filmmaking. It exhilarates me, and it really just it makes me feel, I guess the word would be almost like high. You know, it gives me an incredible, like almost physical reaction. Walking out of Blade Runner, I'm sure a lot of people were kind of bummed out by how dark it was. But I was really I was overjoyed at what a great film it was, what an incredible piece of cinematic art it was. And I fully intend to see it again when I get the chance. If I'm ever in Portland visiting Felix, I'm hoping to get to see it on IMAX or something, because this is a movie. It's a real movie. You know, it is conducted for a theater screen. This is not a TV movie. This is not something made for streaming or for a small screen. It is conducted for a gigantic cinematic screen. It's an experience. Denis Villeneuve is his filmmaking instincts, his eye for visuals and for creating, you know, images. They're just so sharp and so spot on. This guy knows exactly what he's doing every step of the way, and that's so wonderful for me to see. Because I feel like we don't really see it too often anymore. There aren't really, I feel, a lot of filmmakers that are thinking in a big way like that. I think most filmmakers are thinking kind of smaller. VOD, streaming, TV, that's where most people are going to see this thing. And it's not often that you really see a filmmaker that is conducting an experience for a theater, making something big, making something large, making something spectacular. And that is really what all of Villeneuve's work has been like for me. And I love it. I love it to death. Let's see. William Hunter, I saw a presentation of the original Blade Runner at TIFF, and none other than Douglas Trumbull, who, did he do the effects for Blade Runner? I can't remember. I know he did the effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey, so that already makes him a legend. And I think I'm assuming he worked on Blade Runner if he was there. But Doug Trumbull gave an amazing lecture beforehand and did a Q&A after. Great talk. Yeah, I'm sure that guy was such an innovator. I'm sure he was fascinating to listen to. Oh, Sasha, Terrence Malick, maybe? Oh, talking about like the all-time greatest filmmakers. Terrence Malick is certainly up there. Yes. Terrence Malick is certainly somebody who really elevates the art form of visual cinematic storytelling. Absolutely. Um, whoa, I'm way behind. Let me see if I can really catch up. Let's try to go through these a lot faster. Let's see. JF, nobody will ever be at Kubrick level, in my opinion, but who knows? For me, Villeneuve's up there. I really felt like this is a visionary, this is a skilled filmmaker, the likes of which we rarely ever see. Villeneuve is really something spectacular and incredibly special. And I really feel he's like Kubrick level visionary, Kubrick level visual storyteller. Second to none. Villeneuve is one of the absolute best working right now. I'm more and more convinced of that every film of his I've seen. And now that I've finally seen one in theaters, Blade Runner 2049 is actually the first Denis Villeneuve movie I've ever seen on a theater screen. I've gotten a theatrical experience with this one. And that was like that sealed the deal for me. Once I saw it on a theater screen, it's like this guy's the next Kubrick. He's up there on that level. He's a genius. I was exhilarated by it. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Although I'm still not certain about my opinion on 2049, I will rewatch the film a couple of times just to boost the box office. Me too. Yeah, I want to see this as many times as I can. And unfortunately, like I said, I'm getting ready for a move, so I don't really have a lot of money to spend. But as much as I can afford to, yeah, I do want to see it at least one more time in theaters while I have the chance. It's one of those special movies that I want to be able to say, like, yeah, I saw that on a theater screen. I missed Arrival while it was playing in theaters, and I'm really upset about that. And I'm going to make sure I see Blade Runner at least twice to make up for it. Let's see. Daniel, he's off to a great start, talking about Villeneuve, and has been progressively making bigger and more accessible or high-budget movies. Yeah, the budgets have been getting bigger. The projects have been getting bigger and bigger each film in his career. But I really don't feel he's compromised himself in any way. I feel like he's been very, very smart with the choices that he's made and the projects that he's gotten involved in. He's very particular from the interviews I've read and the things I've watched with him. He's very discerning in the stuff that he decides. You know, it's got to have a great script. It's got to have great potential. It's got to have themes and ideas that he's drawn to and that he's fascinated by and that ignite his excitement and his passion. So I think he's very careful about the projects that he chooses. And most importantly, when he gets on a thing, he has a vision. And from what I've gathered, you know, listening and reading the interviews that I've found, he really talks about how he has, you know, discussions with the producers and says, like, I've got a thing I'm going to do with this. I just want everyone to kind of stay out of my way and let me do this the way I want to do it. And so far with every project, it sounds like that's been the case. Even with Blade Runner, as big as this movie was, it was a situation where he kind of sat down with the producers and he said, just like, I want to be able to do my own thing with this. And they said to him, like, that's what we want. That's why we brought you on. We want a Denis Villeneuve movie. We want you to just do your thing with this and make your movie. And that was the reason why he agreed to make the film, because he could make it his way. So I think that's very smart. Not many directors get that opportunity, especially in the current studio, you know, film industry environment. That's really difficult to have that kind of control and that kind of freedom. But, you know, just he's been delivering so consistently that I think it is just a situation where a lot of people just seem to be realizing, like, we just need to stay out of this guy's way. He's a magician. Just let him work his magic. That's the smartest thing you can do. Once you get Denis Villeneuve on your movie, just stay out of his way. Let him make his movie. And I hope that is able to continue. You know, I'm sure there's a failure somewhere in his future. I mean, he's only human. We all make mistakes. I'm sure he's going to, you know, there's probably going to be falterings at some point. That's to be expected. But, you know, once the first failure happens, I'll feel a lot better, I think, because I'm waiting for it. I was worried it was going to be Blade Runner was going to be the finally the point where he faltered, because he's just been making great movie after great movie. Just Prisoners, Enemy, Arrival, Sicario, and now this one. It's an unbelievable streak he's on. And I'm waiting for the point where he falters and kind of stumbles a little bit. Once it happens, then it'll be kind of like, okay, he got it out of his way. He's gotten the mistakes, you know, out of his system. Now he's going to learn from it, and now his movies are going to get even better. It always happens. I'm waiting for it. It'll be a miracle if Villeneuve can avoid that. But, you know, I'm not so enamored of his abilities that, you know, I'm not going to admit that he's human and that he's perfectly fallible, you know, as much as any other human being out there. So I'm sure he will, you know, he will make a bad movie at some point in the future. But I also fully anticipate that he's going to make a lot of amazing movies in the future, and I'm very excited for all of those. And even if he fails, I'm sure he's going to fail in a really interesting, spectacular way too. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. I can see people 50 years from now listing millions of shots from Blade Runner 2049 as some of the best. You say millions, but it's kind of funny. There aren't millions of shots in Blade Runner. This is not one of those typical modern movies. Like, this is a film, like, it's so carefully paced and it's so carefully structured. Like, no shot is wasted. No moment is wasted. Like, he really lets the atmosphere and the tone build to these incredible levels. He really allows space for this thing to live and breathe up there on screen. So there are definitely not millions of shots. And I know what you're saying. I'm kind of being a little facetious here. But I mean, yeah, there aren't a lot of shots in this movie. There's probably like a third as many shots in this movie as there are in your typical like big sci-fi and or action movie, which I thought was so great. It's so refreshing, you know, to see a movie like that where the director is choosing their shots carefully and giving you the pieces of information that you need to get in a very specific, controlled, precise way. I felt that all throughout this movie, all throughout Blade Runner 2049. And even better, it actually had a great screenplay too. That was the one thing I thought, like, if this movie's going to falter in any way, it potentially could be through the screenplay, like just not having really a story or characters or, you know, things that really live up to how strong all of the other elements are. But they really got a great script, which is by one of the original writers, Hampton Fancher, and another writer whose name escapes me at the moment. I'm sorry for that. But it's a great script. You know, there's no irony, there's no sarcasm, there's no moment where someone, you know, incredulously, you know, makes a sarcastic comment or anything like that. The things you see in so many modern movies, there's always got to be these layers of irony and self-awareness. It can be done well, but it's so overdone now. Blade Runner doesn't have any of that. And again, really refreshing to see. This is a movie that I think will really live as long as the original has lived, and then some. They're both, you know, I think they're both going to be viewed on the same level as two of the greatest films ever made. Let's see. Daniel says, check out the shot-for-shot trailer comparing the original versus 2049. Surprisingly, the original looks a lot more detailed, less minimalist environments. Yeah, like I said, I think the original, yeah, was going for more of a cluttered look, and 2049, like I said, is trying to do its own thing. It's not just trying to copy the original. It's the world has developed. The world has evolved into something else. And 2049 is very much its own movie. And I think the choice to go with more minimalist environments reflects that. Like, here's how we're going to do it. We're not just going to repeat what's already been done. So I enjoyed that. You know, to me, that's I don't know if you are, yeah, like listing that as a criticism. It could just be an observation, so I don't want to make an assumption here. But yeah, I didn't mind that. I enjoyed that. I really liked that this movie had its own feel distinct from the original. It was really capturing what made the original so special, but developing it in its own way, which I thought was fantastic. Let's see. Oh, Sasha, have not seen Baby Driver yet. Watching it for the first time will be in my home cinema, though. Well, I hope you have a good time. It's a tremendously fun movie. I've talked about that one a couple times. It's a good one. Chaz's Dungeon. As soon as I want to watch The Guest, the film leaves Netflix. Great. Yeah, I've had who is it? Zach Hayes. He's been telling me to watch that. But yeah, it's no longer on Netflix, unfortunately. They also took off Your Next, the other one that he's been recommending to me. They're both gone, so I can't watch them. It's a bummer. Of course, yeah, the timing's always perfect, isn't it? Let's see. Have you seen, Sasha wants to know, have you seen Blade Runner 2036, the short which ties the two films together yet? I forgot to watch that, actually. That totally slipped my mind. But yeah, there are some short films that are supposed to bridge the gap. I was seeing like there were 3 or something, 2 or 3 short films that kind of like fill in the space between the 2 movies. I didn't watch any of those, though. I'll have to check them out, though. Let's see. Oh, LJ. Henry, I wish one day soon to actually talk to you about my thoughts and opinions on Sucker Punch and Watchmen, as I'm a massive fan and have a lot to say on both those movies based on your Mega Movies Monday. Well, you can invite me on your channel. I'd be happy to appear in one of your videos talking about those two. Just let me know. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. To anyone... Let's see. To anyone who hasn't seen the film, don't watch the anime short film beforehand. Are you talking about Blade Runner? Like the shorts? Sorry if I'm losing track. I thought they were live action. The anime short film? I didn't know it was animated. I might be confused here, so I apologize if I am. Let's see. What else do we got here? Oh, regarding Google Hangouts, you're welcome. Yeah, thank you, Sasha. Let's see. Pineapple Squid. I love how giddily happy Henry is about Blade Runner. I can't help it. When I get excited about something, I want to share it. I think when you love something, you should embrace it. You should embrace it with joyful abandon. And I loved this movie. I loved Blade Runner 2049. And I don't care who knows it. I'm going to shout it to the world. Let's see here. Oh, Daniel bringing up Shane Carruth. Shane Carruth, unfortunately, may never become... I think there was some mentions of Upstream Color earlier. Unfortunately, Shane Carruth may never become mainstream or get a big budget, and what a shame. I think he should follow in Denis Villeneuve's footsteps and make some compromises in order to progress. Yeah, I mean, most directors, I think filmmaking, whether you're independent, whether you're a studio filmmaker, whatever level you're working at, I do think part of filmmaking, just by its very nature, is learning the art of compromise. I think everybody has to compromise to a certain extent. And if you're not compromising to producers or collaborators, you're compromising based on budget. You're compromising based on time. You're compromising based on, just what is physically possible to do within a certain amount of time with a certain amount of resources. I think no matter who you are, what level you're working at, you have to learn to compromise. And it really seems like with Shane Carruth, he absolutely stubbornly refuses to compromise in any way, shape, or form. I could be wrong on that. That's just the impression that I've gotten. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty tough for him. And that's really sad to see, because he is such an incredible filmmaker. He is such a genius, such a visionary. I would love to see him get the chance to make many, many more films than he has currently. And it seems like, yeah, every time he gets one started, it gets canceled, and it's tragic and really painful to see, because I'm such a fan of his work. I would love to see a new Shane Carruth movie, but it just seems for him it's like an all or nothing thing. He wants to get the film in his head on screen, and if it's not going to be that film, it just seems like he's not going to do it, which I respect that. I certainly respect that integrity that he has. But also as a film fan and as a fan of his work, it kind of puts me in agony as well, because it's like, just make a movie. I just want to see another Shane Carruth movie. But it's his life, it's his career. He's doing it the way he wants to do it. So more power to him for that. Let's see what else we got here. William Hunter, I always think about what Ridley Scott said, that when he read the script, he kept wondering what was happening outside the window, talking about Blade Runner. Yeah, and that is really what Blade Runner is about. It's kind of like it is about what's happening outside the window. It is about kind of imagining what's going on outside the frame. It's a movie that creates a world that goes so far beyond what you see, and I think that is the genius of that movie, and the genius of Ridley Scott, is his ability to transport you like that through an attention to detail, through a specificity and a vision, um, and just layering things through the design that way. There's been kind of a backlash happening against Ridley Scott lately, which has always made me really sad, because of Prometheus and Alien Covenant, the reaction against those movies. It seems like people are retroactively kind of George Lucasing Ridley Scott, which I even think it's unfair what happened to George Lucas. People are trying to say like, oh yeah, Ridley Scott, he's senile. He's never been that good. He's overrated. I could not disagree more. I think Ridley Scott really is one of the greatest directors of all time. And it kind of upsets me that, people are going after him now because they didn't like Prometheus or because they didn't like Alien Covenant. Just because you don't like one movie doesn't automatically make all of that director's work horrible. I think people are a little too eager to attack and go negative and go cynical now. I guess just as a cinephile, as a diehard film lover, it kind of upsets me, and it kind of makes me a little bit angry occasionally too. But I don't want to go off on a raging rant here. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but just there are a lot of opinions out there that I disagree with, especially now. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon, Mother and Blade Runner 2049 are both amazing in that they exist in this industry. Yeah, anytime a movie like that gets made, an original film, a daring film, or a film like Blade Runner 2049, an unabashedly intelligent and adult film, there's potential for a franchise there. Like they weave enough threads to where like I could see more films being made in that world, and I think there's definitely things to explore in future movies, possibly. I don't know what their plan is if they are going to do more films, but Blade Runner 2049 is very much a self-contained experience. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It's fully satisfying, but also it hints at so much more to where like I could see them potentially doing more with it, and actually having reason to do that. Will they, if they do another one, will it be as good as this? Probably not, maybe, I don't know. But I would be curious to see a little bit more. But yeah, so I mean, it does kind of pander to that franchise mentality a little bit, but not to the point where I feel it really undermines the work itself. Because again, it's a smart movie. It is a movie that is not in any hurry. It is not a movie that is trying to, punctuate everything with a lot of senseless action. There are action sequences, but this is not an action movie. Blade Runner 2049 is a mystery. It's an atmospheric piece. It's a sci-fi movie. It's a hard, heavy sci-fi movie, a real sci-fi movie. And I don't think people are really used to that kind of filmmaking anymore. I think people are a lot used to more action-driven experiences, and that's not what Blade Runner is. And yeah, I could not admire that more, that they dared to release this really intelligent, adult, hard sci-fi movie in this current industry environment. That is a huge risk. That takes a lot of guts, and they really did it. So I have to give them all the kudos I can. That's great. Oh, Jack, is anyone else having trouble with the stream? Hopefully not. I'm not really seeing any problems on my end, but that could just be me. Hopefully it's okay for everyone. And I apologize if I'm like ages behind on the chat right now. I think I'm about 25 minutes behind. This is stuff posted at 1:30. So I apologize if I'm missing all the newest comments and everything. Let me just see if I can go through really quick. Let's see. Oh, Cinnamon San, I'm trying not to get my expectations too high for Blade Runner, but I am not succeeding when I hear you talking so enthusiastic about it. It's good, man. It's great. It's great. Go into it and just experience it. Just let it wash over you. Um, I don't. I don't think there's any way to be disappointed by it. If this is your kind of movie, if you love like hard sci-fi movies like this and you love the original Blade Runner, I really think like Blade Runner 2049 is going to be right up your alley. I honestly believe that. Um, let's see. What else we got here? Daniel, I still think it wasn't super mainstream, talking about Blade Runner here, but as close to it as Denis can get. Some people found it slow and boring. Others, like me, loved it. Yeah, absolutely. Even the theater I saw Blade Runner 2049 in, it wasn't packed. There were a few other people in there, but I mean, you could tell because of how deliberately paced the movie is. And it's nearly 3 hours long. It's a long movie. It did not feel long to me. I was captivated from beginning to end. There was never a moment where I was bored or disengaged or feeling like, this scene's kind of dragging. There was never a moment that didn't work for me, that didn't absolutely enthrall me. But admittedly, I could feel, some of the younger people in there feeling like, oh boy, this is kind of like, this is definitely not, what can I compare it to? This is definitely not like a Marvel movie or anything like that. This is kind of like serious and yeah, deliberate and trying to really play with silence and pacing and building up suspense and expectation. It does that brilliantly, but yeah, I think for some audiences it's gonna try their patience. But yes, I did indeed love it. Let's see. Film school failure. What did you think of Jared Leto? He's not in very much. He's only in a couple scenes, but I thought he was good. He was very good. An interesting character. Again, everybody's playing. That's an interesting way that 2049 develops kind of in different directions from the original Blade Runner. This movie actually maybe not, because Blade Runner did have like really weird, interesting, quirky kind of characters too. So I guess it's not too far removed from the original in that sense. But I guess I just felt like this movie had more of an interest in developing layers and kind of examining what was underneath the characters a little bit more and humanizing them a bit more than the original. Because like I said, I don't think the original is too interested in character, which, that's the choice Ridley Scott made in the way that he directed that film. Doesn't work for some people, but I think just the original Blade Runner is not that kind of movie. Blade Runner 2049 is that kind of movie that is interested in developing character and exposing layers and depths. So I thought, yeah, everybody, the whole cast had really interesting, complex characters to explore and examine, and that fascinated me. And yeah, Jared Leto, I thought was very good. Again, playing a really interesting character that does what he does for specific, interesting reasons. That yeah, do explore the nature of consciousness and life and creation. It was really fascinating to me. I thought everyone did an extraordinary job. Ryan Gosling was great. Yeah, it's been taking me a while to really warm up to Ryan Gosling. But the more stuff of his I see, the more impressed I am by his abilities as an actor. Harrison Ford, like for the first time in what feels like ages, actually gets to really give a performance. He's not just playing Harrison Ford, just the grumpy old Harrison Ford. He's giving a real performance, and he's like in the original, which I thought was so extraordinary about his performance in the original Blade Runner. He's not like a tough guy. Rick Deckard is not a tough guy. He's very vulnerable throughout that whole movie. And he's always, in a position where he's weak, and he's being outmaneuvered, he's being outsmarted by the replicants that he's tracking. It's an extremely vulnerable performance, not the tough guy action hero that you usually see Harrison Ford doing. He's very vulnerable. And in this movie too, he does, I think, he's more hardened. He's more kind of like he's a lot tougher than he was in the original movie. He's kind of hardened over the years, but still In a lot of moments, you see Ford kind of bringing back that intense vulnerability and that sensitivity, which is atypical, I think, for movies like this, the film noir kind of movies. But it's always what I've loved about the original Blade Runner. It's what I really loved about Harrison Ford in 2049 as well, in that he gets to really do some acting, really play some vulnerable emotions on screen. That was really exciting for me to see. A reminder that, oh yeah, Harrison Ford is a great actor. But yeah, I thought everyone was terrific in this movie. Cineman saying, I am already so excited Villeneuve is going to make Dune, even before I've seen Blade Runner. It almost can't fail. That's like what do they call it? You're gonna jinx it. That's why, like, I wasn't going to admit that I was really excited for Blade Runner 2049, because I was so afraid I was gonna jinx it. Like, oh, this is gonna be a great movie. It's gonna be a masterpiece. There's no way it can fail. I'm not superstitious by nature, but like I can't help but feel that getting too into the hype and the expectations, I can't help but believe against all of my better rational instincts that does somehow affect the movie in some way, like a sports fan. I can't help it. So like I avoided, really getting hyped for Blade Runner 2049. I couldn't be happier with the film that I saw. So I'm going to do the same thing with Dune. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to start going into like, oh yeah, there's no way Dune can be bad. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. It certainly has the potential for that with Villeneuve behind it. But I don't want to get into it. That's the superstitious side of me coming out. I can't help it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to jinx it. I'm so afraid. But I am very excited for whatever he does next. I really hope he does Dune, because he could absolutely make an amazing adaptation of Dune. I hope it does happen. But we'll see. Again, I don't want to jump the gun here. Let's see. Wow, Chaz's Dungeon. 2049 felt like a modern-day Tarkovsky or Kubrick film, in my opinion. I'm right there with you, man. Absolutely. It's up there. That level of brilliance. I'm absolutely with you there. Let's see. Some slightly negative comments on Jared Leto, it seems. I thought he was pretty good. Again, yeah, he's not in very much of the movie. But when he was there, I thought he was very effective, very creepy. Yeah, weird dimensions to that character, which I thought were interesting. Yeah, the scene especially with the female replicant. Again, not going to spoil anything, but yeah, the whole way that scene plays out was very disturbing and very creepy. And yeah, the whole monologue he has throughout that scene, I thought it was pretty effective. Oh, in Chaz's Dungeon, Ryan Gosling's acting was great, especially in the memory scene. Yeah, I thought he did pretty well. I know some people, and I have to admit, I kind of agreed with them, kind of make fun of his acting for just like not being very emotional, how he kind of always has the same expression. But honestly, like watching the movie, getting the context for each scene, seeing the subtleties, up there on the cinema screen, where nothing can hide. I got to admit, I was pretty moved by his performance. I thought it had a lot of humanity, a lot of depth, a lot of dimension. And yeah, there were some really heavy emotional scenes where I was very moved by what he was doing. And I loved, this is going back to like Enemy, which is still, as much as I love Arrival, as much as I love Blade Runner, Enemy is still my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie, because I love how that film just conjures up dread and fear and like anxiety seemingly out of thin air. Enemy does that better than any other horror film I've ever seen. It is one of the most unsettling, effective horror movies, essentially, that I've ever seen. And I love Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, how it conveys that confusion and fear and anxiety and just this panic at not being able to make sense of this bizarre situation. There are a few moments like that. One moment specifically in Blade Runner 2049 where I'm not going to spoil it again, but where Ryan Gosling's character makes a significant discovery that is seemingly impossible. and it's played like those scenes in Enemy, you know, where he's seeing something that just everything is telling him this is not possible, and he's just conveying this confusion and absolute terror and anxiety, and he does it really, really well. I was having flashbacks to Enemy in that scene. It's like, oh man, this is freaky. And Villeneuve's direction is so brilliant too. It gives that moment real weight and significance and authority. He just finds ways of pulling the most incredible emotion out of scenes, and the most incredible, like, what is the word? I guess like weight, real dramatic weight out of every single moment in just the most purely visual cinematic ways. It's so brilliant. Talking about Jared Leto, Felix. Did he send Ryan Gosling a dead pig or pee on Harrison Ford's wardrobe? Whatever crazy shit he did in Suicide Squad. Yeah, everyone talked about that. I don't think there were many shenanigans going on this set, though. Thankfully. He maybe took it a little bit too far with Suicide Squad, but hopefully he learned his lesson there. Let's see. Cinnamon Sand, lots of good sci-fi in the last few years. Her, Under the Skin, which was a great one. Ex Machina was a great one. Arrival, brilliant. And Blade Runner 2049, yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Her, but it was certainly something very different. I will give it that. Yeah, we had kind of a drought there for a while with sci-fi movies. It was kind of like sci-fi movies, unfortunately, where like in the 60s and the 70s, you know, even like in the 50s, I've been surprised, like going back to a lot of older sci-fi movies like Forbidden Planet. And especially, I just rewatched The Day the Earth Stood Still from 1951, the Robert Wise film. That is a great movie. That is really a great movie. So well written, such a great story. It examines, you know, its themes and ideas in such intelligent, thoughtful ways. I was really impressed by it. And then, you know, in the wake of 2001: A Space Odyssey, there were a series of like big budget and small budget, intelligent, intellectual, ambitious science fiction movies, and some kind of cheap, sort of exploitative ones, but a lot of really interesting movies, you know, like Silent Running, talking about Doug Trumbull. I think that's the only film Doug Trumbull ever directed was Silent Running. That's a good one. The original Planet of the Apes is really good. Even stuff like Omega Man or Soylent Green, movies like that, they're actually really smart movies. And then kind of at some point, I think maybe it was Star Wars. Not to crap on Star Wars. I think Star Wars is a great movie and a terrific film for what it does, but it's a different kind of movie. It's a sci-fi movie directed more towards children. And I think in the wake of Star Wars, sci-fi moved more in that direction, more action adventure oriented and aimed more towards kids, which is not necessarily a bad thing. There have been really good movies made with those kinds of ambitions, the Star Wars movies being among them. But I like that recently we have started getting, because there weren't very many for the longest time, I like that now we're getting more really adult, hard sci-fi movies like the ones you mentioned: Under the Skin, Ex Machina, Arrival, Blade Runner. Like, this is, when I think sci-fi, this is what I think of, movies like that. And I'm really glad that, yeah, the genre is really making a big comeback in that way. It's very exciting for someone like me, pretentious asshole like me. It's really exciting for me to see that. So yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Let's see. Oh my God, Jack, am I the only one who started to like it less after Harrison Ford showed up? You might be the only one. I mean, that's okay. If that was your reaction, that was your reaction. But yeah, I'm surprised to hear that. That definitely was not my reaction at all. I thought Ford did a pretty damn good job. I thought he was as good as he's ever been in this one. Whoops, lost my place in the chat here. But yeah, no, I thought he was pretty damn good in the movie. Let's see. God, I am way, way behind. I apologize for this. Let me see if I can go faster. Wow, how did I fall this far behind? Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit here to try and catch up. So I apologize if I miss anything. Um, Chaz's Dungeon. I think this may be the first time in years that we've had a film like this made for a huge budget. I think that's definitely true. This is the kind of stuff that studios, and I don't even think this was a studio movie. I think, believe it or not, this was mostly an independent production. Like, they raised the majority of the money from alternative sources, which is mind blowing when you think of that. When you think about that, but yeah, I actually don't think this was really like a fully studio production. That it was made for the most part independently, which is crazy to think. But it seems like a lot of like bigger movies, especially sci-fi movies, are being made that way now. Like Valerian, the Luc Besson film, which came out this year, that was an independent production. The Wachowski sisters, Cloud Atlas, that was an independent production, and a very big independent production. So yeah, it's crazy now that movies like this can get made for the most part outside the system, which I guess is the only way they can happen. I'm not positive on Blade Runner. I don't know how much of a studio project it was, but I do remember reading some things on it that it was an unconventional production that was made mostly outside of Hollywood. So that maybe is an insight into how like a movie like this could get made. But yeah, at the scale that it was made, that's very impressive. It's yeah, I'm so glad that this movie happened and that it is as good as it is. Let's see. Daniel, talking about Ryan Gosling again. I liked Gosling a lot in Drive, which is a pretty good movie. Only God Forgives, and this movie. I think he is a good fit for these low emotion / low conversation roles. I guess so. Certainly in the Nicholas Winding Refn movies, he's playing it very minimal. But he has a couple different modes because he does like a lot of romantic comedies, a lot of romances, a lot of different kinds of movies and different kinds of characters. And I think Blade Runner, even though it is very restrained, and it is very minimal in a lot of ways, I think there is a lot of emotion to it. And I think Gosling's performance does convey a great deal of emotion, a great deal of complex emotion. And I think he does a pretty great job of conveying that, but doing it in very subtle, restrained ways. I was pretty damn impressed by his performance in this. Let's see. Oh, okay. So Jack says it wasn't Ford. Okay. I just didn't like where the film went after that. Okay, fair enough. I guess it does. I don't want to spoil it. I really don't want to spoil it. Again, not going to give anything away, but I guess it does kind of move in more of an urgent direction after that. That's all I'll say. But yeah, I guess I can kind of see where you're coming from there. But I was hooked by that point, so I was willing to follow it in those directions. Let's see. Trying to catch up a little bit. So yeah, I'm sorry if I'm skipping anything. Talking about Harrison Ford, it looks like. Film school failure. There is a huge shift in tone after Deckard shows up. Yeah. Film does a total 180 in pace. I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, it does shift in a new gear in that new act, which I think works. It worked for me, but apparently it didn't work for everybody, but that's okay. But yeah, I was definitely captivated by it, and I found it incredibly exciting and suspenseful, the direction it took, and I didn't feel like it lost track of its characters, it lost track of its theme. It was still very bold in everything that it did, so I felt it more than worked. Let's see. Oh, Felix, I didn't realize Denis was 50 years old. Yeah, it was a shock to me when I read that the other day too. He's not a young man. It's surprising to see because he feels like such a new filmmaker. He really exploded in a big way in just the last couple of years. But yeah, he's 50 years old. When I watched Blade Runner, I was like, How did a 25-year-old guy make this? I should just kill myself. And then I looked him up and saw he's 50, so I saved my own life. Well, I'm glad. It's good that you're still here on this mortal coil with all the rest of us. Glad you made that decision. Yes, everybody, suicide is not an option. Everyone, yeah, don't want to condone that. Everyone, yeah, there's always a reason to live. Just want to make that clear. But yeah, Felix, I'm glad you made the right decision there. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Although I find that 2049 is better than the original, okay, I still prefer the original. Interesting. I don't think at all that 2049 did anything worse. I believe that I need time to determine my opinion on the films. Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know if I could answer that if you're asking, which you're not really asking, you're just kind of stating your own reaction to the movie, but just kind of taking that for myself. I don't know if I could really decide which one is the better movie. I don't know, because they're really, like I said, they're different movies. Blade Runner 2049 is very much its own film, separate from the original Blade Runner. They are connected in significant ways, but I do feel like they are separate films. So I don't know really if I could say which is better. But I do love them both equally. They're both, to me, cinema and visual filmmaking, visual storytelling at its finest. So yeah, I don't know if I could really pick which one I prefer. I think they're both so extraordinary in their own ways. And I think they're both absolute masterpieces. Let's see. Oh, Daniel. By 2017, a lot of movies address this topic. What are we talking about? Topic? I think that's what makes 2049 less iconic or impressive, I guess. If this came out 30 years ago, it would have been just as amazing as the original. I apologize if I missed another comment you made, but I'm not sure what you're referring to there, so I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm missing something obvious. I can be dumb sometimes. A lot of movies address this topic. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean there, so I'm sorry. Let's see. Oh, Sasha, talking about filmmakers faltering. I don't think Scorsese has ever made a weak film throughout his entire career. I might disagree with you there. Yeah, just for my own opinion, I think maybe something like Boxcar Bertha is kind of a weak point. The Color of Money. I mean, they're not terrible movies. I think you're right in that every film Scorsese has made has had really interesting elements at play. There's always been something that is kind of like, oh, well, that's impressive. A performance, direction, editing, cinematography. There's always something there that is like, oh, okay, that's Scorsese. That's what he does. But there have been films of his that I found to be not as strong as others. Something like Boxcar Bertha, I wasn't particularly impressed by. Color of Money, I didn't think was especially good. I wasn't a big fan of Wolf of Wall Street, but that's just me. But again, I mean, you can always tell that it's a Scorsese movie. So that does add a dimension to it that is interesting and engaging in some way. Let's see. Oh, Cinnamon San. I never hear anybody mentioning Incendies, also a good movie by Denis Villeneuve. Yeah, one he made when he was still in Canada. Yeah, that was... I think that was his last one before he kind of started crossing over with stuff like Prisoners, movies like that. But yeah, Incendies was really good. I think that was... It may have won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, or maybe it was just nominated. I can't remember. But that is a terrific movie, a harrowing film. A story about, yeah, war and... just kind of the horrifying things that happen, in war and the way it devastates people and families and kind of, just creates situations where just human beings can indulge in their worst nature. It's a very thoughtful meditation on the consequences of war and violence. Villeneuve, is very... he's very thoughtful in that way. You know, he's not exploitative. He's very careful with the way he uses violence. He's, yeah, I think he thinks very carefully about those things. And Incendies definitely shows that more meditative side of him. And yeah, it's a great film. Fully recommend that to anyone, anyone who's a Villeneuve fan, because yeah, I feel like that one, Incendies, doesn't get talked about nearly as much as his other films, his more recent films. But that is a great one. Definitely one to go back and see. I also really want to see an earlier one he did about called Polytechnique, I believe it's called, another Canadian production, which I believe covers a school shooting. So yeah, a very difficult, touchy subject, but I've heard it's very good, so I want to see it. Let's see. Oh, Jack says Incendies and Enemy are my favorites from Villeneuve. So okay, so there's some lovers of Incendies out there and some lovers of Enemy. I'm glad to hear that too, because Enemy I feel like is the other one that is like doesn't get mentioned nearly enough. That is, for my money, I think that's Villeneuve's best movie. It's my favorite. So, and yeah, I feel like it doesn't get mentioned nearly enough as something like Prisoners or Sicario or the sci-fi ones. But yeah, I think Enemy's great, and Incendies is great too. Let's see. Oh, you talking about Enemy, Felix? Henry called me one day and was like, "Stop everything you're doing, drive 4 hours to my house, and watch this." And we did, didn't we? I don't think you left immediately, but yeah, we did watch that together. Enemy is so good. I love, especially if somebody's never seen Enemy, I love watching that with people who have never seen it before, especially just for no other reason than the last shot. The final shot in Enemy is one of the best endings I've ever seen in any film ever. I love seeing people react to that ending, that final shot for the first time. It's so great. It's so great. Nobody knows what to make of it. It is so shocking. It takes you so off guard. I've watched it with my brother. I've watched it with Felix, and I never get tired of it. I'd love to watch it with anyone else, yeah, who's never seen it, who wants to yeah, sit down with me and take a look at it. I'll watch it with you just to see your reaction to the ending. It's great. Wonderful. And Volstix has joined us. Welcome, Volstix. Glad you could be here. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon says Your Next is still on Netflix. Not for me, because I kid you not, I looked up Your Next a couple nights ago. It was not there. So I don't know if Netflix is messing with me, if they don't want me to watch it or what, but I could not find it. Let's see. I'm gonna try and jump ahead a little bit. Whoa, I did not know about this. Xavier says there's an animated short scored by Flying Lotus and directed by the guy who did Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo, a short for Blade Runner. I heard nothing about that. That's unbelievable. Yeah, I did not even know there was an animated short. I knew there were some live action ones. I heard nothing about this. I'll have to look it up when the stream's over. Wow. Yeah, I think probably, yeah, all of these things are better watched after you see the movie, because it is really great going into 2049 basically knowing nothing about it. That would be my recommendation. But yeah, I do want to check out some of these short movies too. See what's in there. Because like I said, yeah, the movie does hint at a larger experience that goes so far beyond just what you're seeing in the story, what you're seeing in the frame. It would be a fascinating world to delve into in more stories and more films. Let's see. Jack, there were only 3 other people in my theater when I saw 2049. One of those sick fucks was on his phone. Oh god, that's so sad. I'm sorry, Jack. Oh boy. Oh, film school failure. I am far behind, aren't I? George Lucasing, my new favorite verb. I did say that, didn't I? God, I really need to catch up. Let's see. Oh yeah, minor spoilers here. I'm going to skip that one. Let's see. Wow, Jack. Personally, I think Blade Runner was Ridley Scott's last great film. Are you kidding me? I would really disagree with that. Legend, I think, is a great movie. Again, it's fantasy. It's silly in a lot of ways, admittedly. Not very strong on narrative or story or character. But to me, in that way, it's like Blade Runner or it's like Alien. It's a movie that creates a world. It's a visual experience. It's an atmospheric experience. And it's also, I think, one of the most beautiful movies ever made. Like, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. And the makeup by Rob Bottin, the Tim Curry Prince of Darkness costume and makeup design is genius, absolutely brilliant. I think Legend, even though it kind of gets shit on, I think Legend is one of Ridley Scott's best. I love that movie. And I also like that Tom Cruise doesn't really play a traditional hero. He's like Deckard in Blade Runner. He's kind of inept in a lot of ways and really vulnerable. I always really enjoy that. I always enjoy seeing the typical like tough guy playing somebody who's a little clumsier, who's a little more relatable and human in that sense. Even though he plays, I think, an elf. Tom Cruise plays an elf in Legend. It's silly, admittedly, but I also think it's great. I also think it's a really brilliant, visually designed movie, like Blade Runner, you know, in the same sense, but working in fantasy rather than science fiction. I think Legend is terrific. I think Thelma and Louise is a really great movie. Black Hawk Down, even though I have some problems with Black Hawk Down, I think just on a purely visceral level, it's extraordinarily effective, extraordinarily well made. Kingdom of Heaven, I think, is one of Ridley Scott's finest achievements. Kingdom of Heaven, just in terms of like historical epics, just in terms of epic filmmaking, I think Kingdom of Heaven stands right up there alongside like David Lean. It's up there with like Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago, Bridge on the River Kwai, Ben-Hur, any kind of historical epic you could name. I think Kingdom of Heaven stands firmly alongside those works. I think Kingdom of Heaven, talking about the director's cut, the original director's cut, it's better than Gladiator. It's as good a movie as Ridley Scott has ever made. So yeah, I really disagree with that. I'm disappointed, yeah, that there aren't more Ridley Scott admirers out there. But, you know, I'm not insulting your opinion, Jack. I respect you. I think you're a smart guy. But yeah, I am saying I really strongly disagree with that. Let's see. Felix, too. I'm not a massive Scott fan, but I will not discredit his impact on film. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I know Felix and I have had a lot of arguments about certain filmmakers. Ridley Scott's definitely one of them. Danny Boyle is another one. Felix is not a very big fan of Danny Boyle, and I am. So yeah, we're always having arguments on those two filmmakers and others too. But I think those have been the two that we've talked about the most recently. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Unfortunately, 2049 didn't do well on opening day. This doesn't emphasize that the film is a box office failure as much as desperate news articles make the film out to be, although this is a red flag. Well, you know, it's still early. Unfortunately, that is like the current mindset. You know, if a movie doesn't make $100 million opening day, then it's like, oh, failure, flop, get rid of it. But I think if this movie is allowed to kind of stick around, I think it will find an audience. But I mean, Blade Runner is challenging material. The original film was a flop, famously. It was really on video with the director's cut that Blade Runner started accumulating a fan base, a major fan base. So I mean, 2049, it's the same thing. It's more palatable, as we've said, but it's challenging. It's not going to be a film for everyone, you know, but I do think it is such a great movie that I think probably reviews and word of mouth will start to get it around. I think this will be a movie that could definitely have some staying power. So I don't think people should write it off immediately. I think this could still be a big success if it's allowed, you know, to have the opportunity to do that, because the quality is there. The quality of the film is right there. It just needs I think, the time, the opportunity to really allow people to come to it. Let's see. Dude with a rug. Can't help but ask about Shane Carruth. What happened to the Modern Ocean? We don't know. Yeah, like Chaz's Dungeon says, who knows? Yeah, they're keeping it pretty secretive. Seems like I talk about this at least once a week, but that's okay. But yeah, it looks like at the very least it's been postponed. It seems like a lot of the original actors that were announced, like Keanu Reeves, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man. I don't know who's still attached, but it sounds like the new Spider-Man guy. I think it's Tom Holland. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But it looks like he's no longer attached. It doesn't really seem like anybody exactly knows what's going on with it. So, unfortunately, it appears to have either been canceled or, at the very least, postponed indefinitely. So I don't know. It's frustrating. It's sad. Hopefully, yeah, there's something coming up. If it's not the Modern Ocean, hopefully Carruth is working on something. Let's hope so. But yeah, there's nothing out there. It's pretty secretive. Carruth doesn't like he doesn't like giving away the game. He likes keeping it all pretty low profile. Which, hey, if that's the way he likes doing it, okay, but it drives the rest of us crazy who want to know what's going on. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Felix, Blade Runner, this is also 3 hours long. Yeah, I can't really think of a mainstream popular 3-hour film besides Titanic. They come along every once in a while. Peter Jackson, works in longer form storytelling pretty often. Lord of the Rings, King Kong, those are all, I think, in excess of 3 hours. The Hobbit movies, too. So some films get away with it. Not a lot, though. You're right. Most of the time, they want to keep it under or at 2 hours so they can have more show times and make more money per day. So yeah, that's another challenge 2049 is facing. It's challenging material. It's an intellectual property that is maybe not as well known as certain others. Blade Runner is certainly a legendary film, but it's not Star Wars, let's say, or something else like that. It's not a kid's movie, it's an adult movie. It's R-rated and it's 3 hours long. So it has a lot of hurdles to overcome. But I just think the sheer quality of the movie is such, and the reaction to it is so strong that I think it is my hope. And I do feel that it is going to find its audience. It is going to find success in some form. I'm fairly certain it will. I could be wrong. I hope I'm not, but I'm fairly certain it will. Let's see. Oh yeah, talking about Blade Runner in 3D. Yeah, it was shot in 2D and converted to 3D. So it could potentially be really stunning in 3D. There were certain shots, just of, because they did do a lot of digital effects, but they did also do a lot of physical work as well, like a lot of models and miniatures and stuff. From what I understand, like a lot of the cityscapes were like miniatures built by Weta Workshops, who did all the stuff on Lord of the Rings. So there's a lot of physical work in this movie, like the original movie, the original Blade Runner, which I thought was so cool to see. And of course, it's just it's enhanced and built upon with CGI and digital effects. But those always, to me, those are the most spectacular results, when you're not relying too much on one form of technology. I think Villeneuve played it really smartly in saying that, like, okay, we're not just going to put everything on CGI. We're not going to do everything in post. We're going to build sets. We're going to have costumes. We're going to work in real environments. We're going to have as much we're going to use models and physical things. We're going to have as much be in camera as possible. And then we're just going to kind of use digital work and CGI work where we need to. And the results are spectacular. You look on screen, there were a lot of shots like of LA. I mean, the fog and everything, the smog and the visual texture and everything. It's like, it looks real. It looks like a real environment, just like the original Blade Runner. it's like it's a real city up there on screen somehow. It's wondrous. Yeah, 2049 does the same thing. So yeah, the effects are absolutely stunning in that sense. Absolutely stunning. Whether you see them in 2D or 3D, I'm sure they look great either way. Let's see. Jazz's Dungeon. To all those who aren't watching Blade Runner 2049 and don't plan to, what are you doing? Yeah, I would concur with that sentiment. Get out there and see Blade Runner, unless you're under 17 and they won't sell you a ticket. That's maybe the only excuse. But I would say even if you don't enjoy it, go see it, react to it. I mean, if you don't like it, fair enough. That's fine. But I think it is a movie to see and discuss and experience. I really think it is one of those extraordinary achievements. I cannot encourage anybody who's watching, anybody who may see this, I cannot encourage you enough to see this movie in theaters, on a cinema screen, to really experience it. It's one of those movies. Let's see what else we got here. Oh man, Sasha, maybe Denis Villeneuve should get behind the Logan's Run remake if it ever happens. Wow, that would be something else. Logan's Run. I don't know. Logan's Run is a fun movie. Again, it's like, it's one of those classic kind of 70s sci-fi movies. It hasn't dated so well. It's really cheesy in a lot of ways. But I mean, the story is compelling. There's a lot of captivating ideas in that story. And it is still an interesting movie to watch for a lot of reasons. But yeah, an update? I suppose there's potential there to do something really interesting with it. I guess we just have to see. Certainly, if anybody could do it, it could very well be Villeneuve. But I don't know. Everybody's after him to do everything right now, so I don't know what his game plan is. But yeah, hopefully we continue to see as many films from him as we are seeing. It seems like every year he's got something coming out. Hopefully he doesn't, get all Fassbendered out and die in the next couple of years just through overwork and stress. Yeah, hopefully we don't see that. Did I just create another verb? Fassbendering? George Lucasing? Fassbendering? But yeah, hopefully he doesn't burn himself out. That would be the one thing I would worry about, because he's doing huge movies. I'm sure it takes a lot out of him doing stuff like this. So hopefully he finds a way to maintain himself physically. It's like we said, he's not a young man anymore. But yeah, as many films as he could make, I'll go see all of them. I'll go see every single one. From this point on, if it's got his name on it, I'm going to go see it. Let's see. Gosh, how do I not catch up on the chat at all? Let me see if I can just keep going. Some discussions of Mother. Let's see. Huh. Josso1, my favorite strange dread atmosphere is probably from Primer. Loved Enemy, though. That's interesting, Primer. You got a sense of dread from that? Yeah, I didn't really react that way. It's definitely a movie that I didn't get really a sense of dread from it, but I did get really invested in the way that the situation so quickly complicates itself, and the way the characters are struggling to really stay ahead of themselves in a really bizarre way. I thought that was genius, the whole way that the characters are constantly trying to outthink copies of themselves. That was so well done, so brilliant. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to say your reaction was wrong or anything, but yeah, I didn't react to that, I guess, with a sense of dread. I guess it was more a sense of like paranoia for me, of like wondering like, okay, who's this? How are they gonna, cover? How's this contingency plan going to work? How are they going to cover themselves, now that they're introducing this new timeline? Okay, now there's another timeline on top of that. It was more like paranoia and kind of like mistrust running rampant for me. That was the way I reacted to it. But that's interesting, though, of reading it more like a horror film. That's an interesting way to look at it. Oh, Volsticks. By the way, Henry, I thought The Guest was terrible. Oh, no. Cheesy, cliched, predictable bullshit. Oh, no. Though Dan, what's his name, the lead, put in a good performance. Also, watched The Beguiled, and it scared me. Haven't seen either of those yet. I'm guessing you're referring to the Sofia Coppola Beguiled, which I do really want to see. And I haven't seen it yet either. I probably should go see that. Maybe talk about it next week. I don't know. I was going to watch It Comes at Night, but I didn't think I was going to be streaming this weekend, so I put it off until next week, and now suddenly here I am. So it's like, ugh, damn it. But I'll try and make sure I watch it. It Comes at Night next week. Which, speaking of that, I do have another movie I should talk about that I'm supposed to talk about. Let's see if I can get that. Volsticks. Oh, wow, going way back to what was I talking about? Silent Running. Yeah, that was Doug Trumbull's only film as a director. Okay, so I'm glad I got that detail right. And shit, I lost my place. Let's see. Okay, I lost where I was. So I'm kind of adrift in the chat right now. Let me just skip ahead. Sorry if I'm missing anything, but let's see where I can go. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, Daniel. Sorry, Henry. We're addressing each other here. No, it's okay. Yeah. When I see stuff addressed to other people, I kind of skip over that. So yeah, I don't want to butt in on anyone else's conversations, but yeah, I'm trying to make sure I'm covering everything. Let's see. Talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Or are we talking about actual... Oh, not the Ninja Turtle, the painter. Okay, so we're talking about Renaissance artists. Gotcha, Volsticks. That is sad that that's the first place my mind goes to when I see Raphael. It's like, oh, Ninja Turtles? Not the painter, Ninja Turtles. Ugh. But that's okay, times change. Oh, well. Let's see. Let's see. What else we got? I'm guessing this is referring to... What is this referring to? I'm guessing this is Blade Runner, Daniel. It uses a ton of CGI. Some scenes are 100% CGI, but the characters are mostly real, and apparently they tried using as many practical effects and environments as they could. That's not Blade Runner, is it? Are we talking about Death Note here? Somebody brought up Death Note. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to skip over that one. Sorry. Let's see. What else we got here? Yeah, I haven't watched Death Note yet, but I've heard some interesting stuff for that. Oh, Daniel, okay. I liked a lot of the CGI stuff for flying scenes, the garbage area, the 3D ads, etc. Really? Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty sure they used a lot of practical sources for a lot of that stuff. Oh, and Movies for Life. Okay, also ads. 2049 does not use a lot of CGI. You can see behind the scenes, all the buildings were miniatures, and the sets were huge. Almost zero sets were CGI. Yep, that's what I thought. That's what I read. I'm glad. I'm glad you're backing me up on that. Movies for Life. Thank you. Yeah, I remember reading interviews with Denis Villeneuve, and he was saying like they only did a few days of green screen work. It was almost all on practical sets, practical locations, and it was very rare that they actually brought in green screens and did green screen work. Same thing with Arrival, which I think really helps in giving Arrival the impact that it does, and the feeling of reality that it has, in that Arrival, you know, there's only like 2 scenes, I believe, that they actually shot in front of a green screen. But like the interior of the spaceship, everything, they actually built it. And they actually put the actors in a physical space, which I think you can always tell when an actor is actually standing somewhere and seeing something for real, as opposed to when they're just, you know, in front of a green screen or a blue screen, just kind of imagining stuff, you know. You do always get that sense that they're not really tangibly interacting with anything. They're just kind of like, oh, something there. You know, I admire actors. They give it their best shot, and some are better than others. But I feel like there's always a sense that you can sort of tell when an actor's, you know, just kind of imagining whatever's going to be there. It's like, okay, something here. And when they're actually standing in a real place, reacting to real things, you know, it just has a physicality, a weight, a presence that still to this day, as good as CGI has gotten, they can't quite capture it yet, you know? And I don't think that's really something you can solve with digital effects. It's really just all about what the actor is feeling, what they're conveying, you know? So I think that's part of why the original Blade Runner and also why this new Blade Runner have such a feeling of tangible reality, of a space, a real place that you kind of enter into and experience and live in for a few hours, because most of it, yeah, in some shape or form actually is right there in front of you, and the actors were actually in it physically as well. Oh yeah, Movies for Life. That includes the massive scrap area, all real. Vice did a video exploring the sets and props. All the skylines were all miniatures. That's so cool to hear. Yeah, I'm really glad they did it, because yeah, just looking at those cityscapes and those flying shots, I really was like looking at stuff and that doesn't look fake. That doesn't look like CGI. How did they do this? That's incredible. Seeing it on a big screen too, it's like, I mean, you can see all the detail that went into it. It's amazing. Let's see. Yeah, Daniel says that scrap area was impressive. No idea why anyone would build it in real life at any scale when scatter particle systems can do so much easier. I guess that's the big thing. It's a question of what is easier versus what is better. And I think the vast majority of the time, when you can do something physically, most of the time that's going to be better. It may not be easier, but I think in a lot of significant ways, it's going to be better. And it takes a little bit more time, and it takes a little bit more effort and work and energy, but I really think it's worth it. I really think it makes a difference in terms of what you see and what you feel from the screen. And I think Blade Runner 2049 and the original too are both examples of that. Those worlds have a lot more weight and reality than, well, to use an obvious example, something like the Star Wars prequels. I know that's an easy shot to take, but it is a good example, isn't it? Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Oh, Movies for Life. The only fully CGI effect was the muzzle flash, since they couldn't fit a Gauss system into the pistol. Everything else utilized practical effects to some degree. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah. And yeah, I guess it makes sense, you know. If you have no other option, then CGI is there to cover you, which I think is the best way to utilize a tool, you know, is to not rely upon it, not use it as a crutch, but to simply use it as a tool that can fill in the spaces that it needs to. So yeah, I think they went about it really smartly. Ridley Scott's the same way. You know, if he can do it in camera, if he can do it if he can do it physically somehow, he's going to do it. He's going to do it for real, and then just use CGI to build on top of that. I think I don't want to crap on CGI artists or digital artists. They are artists, and they are incredible at what they do, but I think it really does come down to the director, how they're utilizing that artistry. You have to be careful with it. You have to be careful. I mean, even when you're using practical effects, there are limitations to what that can do. So you got to be really smart and strategic about how you utilize all of these tools. Yeah, when a filmmaker really finds that balance, the results are spectacular. Like Guillermo del Toro, you know, using costumes and prosthetics and all these great makeup effects, and then building on top of that with extraordinary CGI, or Ridley Scott, Denis Villeneuve, a lot of filmmakers like that. Christopher Nolan, another great one. Interstellar, yeah, it's 3 years old now, still looks stunning, absolutely stunning. It's funny how quickly CGI dates now. Even looking at stuff from like last year, it's like, oh, this is not nearly as good as it can be done today. But practical effects, they don't really age. They hold up pretty well. So like Interstellar, I think, to bring that one up, that's another one that will live for a long time, I think, and won't really date as much as a similar kind of movie. 2001: A Space Odyssey still holds up. It still holds up. Slowly paced, maybe. It maybe doesn't feel so modern just in the pacing, how slow it is. But, I mean, you look at it, it still looks incredible. It still looks incredible. Oh, Sasha. Wow. Again, way far behind. I'm sorry, but this is a fun comment. I had a life-size cardboard cutout of Tim Curry in Legend when I was a child. That must have been scary. He looks terrifying in that movie, but that does sound pretty awesome, too. Oh, and talking about... Underrated Ridley Scott movies. Matchstick Men is underrated too. Absolutely it is. Matchstick Men is very underrated. American Gangster is a great movie. The Counselor is really underrated. Gosh, what else? Are there any more? I'm trying to think now. He's got so many movies that he's done. I'm trying to remember. That's all that's really coming to me in the moment. But yeah, Ridley Scott's got a great body of work out there. Really terrific stuff. Jazz's Dungeon. I watched The Descent, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and Sunshine for the first time this month, all from my October watch list. I also want to see Inland Empire. You haven't seen Inland Empire? What is your holdup, man? Haven't you been wanting to watch that for ages now? Just watch it. What's wrong with you? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, that's a pretty good lineup. I'm guessing this is the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is still a pretty intense, terrific movie. The Descent is a really good one. Claustrophobic, the movie about the group of women that go spelunking and it turns into this horrifying nightmare. That's a great one. Really atmospheric, really tense, visceral, violent, and so claustrophobic. I mean, there are moments in The Descent, like when they're kind of trapped in these confined spaces that, they're torturous for me. Those are the most terrifying sequences in that film for me. It's really effective, really well done. Sunshine's a good one too. I've never been as keen on that one as a lot of other people are, but it is a good movie. It's kind of one that I always kind of want to go back to. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I would like to revisit it again, because it is one that admittedly gets better every time I watch it. So I think maybe it's time to go back to it again, perhaps. Let's see. What else we got here? Wow, LJ Draco. Danny Boyle's son is best friends with my brother in the same class as each other. They hung out for years. That's crazy. Wow. Got all you Brits. It's so small over there. Everybody knows everybody. I remember Sasha saying like his grandmother or his aunt or somebody, I forget which, I'm sorry, but like used to be neighbors with Roger Moore or something like that. What's going on? You Brits are lucky. You don't give anyone a hard time. The United States is too big. Everyone's spread out. I never get to see anybody cool. Let's see. Oh, Jack. Oh, shit. I forgot about Matchstick Men. I guess Blade Runner isn't the last film I love from him. Hey, there you go. There you go. It's always good to find movies you love. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I really like Sunshine, although I wasn't able to emotionally relate to the characters, and the fifth crew member subplot was a weird turn that felt out of place. Yeah, it's got its flaws, but it is an interesting movie, I think. A really well-made movie, too. It does have like kind of a tone that it sets that is interesting, that is really different, that stands out amongst sci-fi movies. Oh, and Cinnamon Sand Sunshine has some amazing cinematography. Love it for that. Yeah, it's kind of funny how often Sunshine comes up. It's one that people are still discussing, which is interesting to me. And another reason why I keep kind of coming back to it, because I keep hearing people talk about it and mention it. So any film that does that, any film that continues to fascinate people, and any film that continues, to be brought up, there must be something in it that continually draws people, that continues to attract fascination. So I'm always interested in films like that. They keep drawing me back and make me want to kind of dig into them and try to figure out what it is that is striking people in some significant way like that. Let's see. Josso 1, no, please, not another canned Shane Carruth film, please, God, no. I know it's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. Let's hope he's got something that he's working on. Kind of like how when A Topiary got canceled, he kind of just came up with Upstream Color really quickly and just shot it before anyone knew what he was doing and then just released it out of nowhere. Nobody saw it coming. Let's hope something like that is happening. If The Modern Ocean has been canceled, I'm hoping it hasn't. I'm hoping he's still kind of trying to resurrect it somehow or something. But let's hope if it is canceled, worst case scenario, let's hope that has motivated him to kind of just go out and do something really small and weird and experimental like Upstream Color. Let's hope. Let's hope. Let's see. Oh, are you talking about Sunshine, Chaz's Dungeon? Sunshine is a very underrated film, in my opinion. Many don't talk about it. The fact I didn't know, in fact, I didn't know about the film until I watched a Your Movie Sucks video. I've never seen any of their work. And I'm guessing you're talking about Sunshine there. Yeah, but that's interesting. I tend not to watch like negative stuff anymore. I just can't handle it. There's too much cynicism now. I tend to avoid that kind of stuff. I understand it's comedy and a lot of people enjoy it, but yeah, stuff like yeah, like Red Letter Media and Your Movie Sucks and what's the other one? Like I Hate Everything, channels like that. I get their appeal, you know, they're comedy, people enjoy them, they're fun. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really subject myself to cynicism and pessimism and you know, negativity so much anymore. I just like I need to surround myself with positivity. You know, I'm going crazy. I need to kind of shift my mentality in that way, you know. But that's just me. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon, Event Horizon is on my watch list. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. You know, a lot of people really seem to like Event Horizon, I have to say. I didn't think it was a particularly good movie, but I might need to rewatch it because that is one that just, it does seem to be becoming some kind of cult classic because it is one, I hear people mention it constantly now. I hear it always being brought up. It's like, have you seen Event Horizon? Like, that was a good one. That was a creepy movie. Have you seen that? Like, it's weird, but yeah, I do see that one like popping up more and more now. So I might need to go back to it. I don't know. Maybe there's something in there that I missed. Let's see. Oh, Felix, you're going after Danny Boyle? How dare you? Let's see. His films don't hit home with me. 28 Days Later was cool. Trainspotting was all right. But everything else has just fell really flat for me. I don't hate him. I mainly play it up for Henry. But as a filmmaker, he doesn't get my dick hard at all. Yeah, I mean, that's it sometimes. You know, it's all about the film boner. Some movies do it for you. Some movies don't. I think it was... oh, what's her name? Anna Lily Amirpour, the filmmaker. She just recently directed The Bad Batch, which, speaking of that one, they just put it on Netflix streaming. So anyone who hasn't seen The Bad Batch should absolutely check that one out on Netflix, because it is a great movie. I gave it a second watch on Netflix. It's even better the second time. It's a terrific movie. Actually really appropriate for this discussion, because like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049, which are these films that create worlds that you just sort of step into, these atmospheric tonal pieces. Bad Batch is absolutely one of those movies. It's an atmospheric visual tonal piece that creates this world in front of you that is so detailed and so it's living and breathing up there, and you just kind of step into it and live in that world for 2 hours. It is absolutely one of those movies, an extraordinary piece of filmmaking. So watch it on Netflix if you have Netflix. But I was listening to an interview with Anna Lily Amirpour, the writer-director of that movie. And it's a great podcast, too, the Talk House Movie Podcast. If you're interested in cinema, that's definitely a podcast to subscribe to. But she was talking about how like she makes movies. And she was actually in conversation with Ryan Johnson, also a writer-director and a really talented one at that. And he was talking about The Bad Batch and asking her, like, wow, there's some amazing shots in this movie, just some brilliant visual storytelling. How did you come up with these images and these shots? How did you do this? And she just kind of like, she was just like very modest about it. She's kind of like, I don't know. I didn't really, you know, think about it. It was just kind of an instinctual thing. And the way she described it was something I really liked. She said it was just kind of like, I'd look at a shot and I'd be talking about it with my cinematographer, and I'd just be kind of like, yeah, this just isn't giving me the film boner. Like my film boner is at like half mast right now. We need to rethink this. And they'd adjust the shot a little bit until she was like, yeah, that gives me the film boner. So I liked that metaphor. I thought that was very funny. So I might need to use that from now on. Yeah, but you know, it is kind of like just almost like a biological thing, you know. Some people, they watch a certain movie, a certain director, they get that film boner. Other people don't. Other people, it's half-mast. It's not really something you can really consciously decide most of the time. I mean, talking about The Bad Batch, that was one that definitely gave me the film boner. Felix, not so much. He wasn't too keen on it. But, you know, everyone reacts differently. Let's see what else we got here. Going through the comments here. Oh, did I catch up? I think I caught up. Or did I just skip? I think I might have skipped. Oh, geez. Now I'm totally lost again. So I apologize if I'm missing anything. Oh, Sasha watched Free Fire last night. It was good, right? Fun movie. Free Fire is a really fun one. One of my favorites of recent action films. I thought that was a pretty damn well executed one. Really funny, really clever, and yeah, with an actual concept behind the action set piece that was really interesting and engaging the whole way through. I really liked that one. Let's see. Lord Byron, why do you think Blade Runner is flopping at the box office? It's only been out one day, hasn't it? I think it's a little premature to call it a flop. I was talking about that earlier. But yeah, I don't think it's fair to call it a flop yet. Let's give it some time, for crying out loud. I'm not mad at you, Lord Byron, but that is like the mentality now. It's like if it doesn't do the giant box office opening day, opening weekend, then it's done. It's a failure. Get rid of it. Move on to the next thing. That's just like, I really don't think that's fair to a lot of movies. Some movies need time, you know, to build word of mouth, to accumulate an audience, to draw people to it. I mean, if 2001: A Space Odyssey had been judged entirely on like its opening weekend, that movie flopped like the first several weekends it was out. It took months, actually. And movies in the 60s, they played for months. They actually had the opportunity to have these long theatrical lives to where there was a chance for people to discover them. And 2001 was one of those movies that was so different, it took a little while for people to catch on to it. But once they did, I mean, the snowball started rolling and it just kept building and building and building to the point where it became this huge hit and this iconic piece of pop culture and one of the most acclaimed, beloved, legendary films in cinema history. If it had only just been one weekend and then it would have vanished, like 2001 would not be what it is today. So, I mean, we got to give it some time. I think Blade Runner does have the potential just because the movie is so good and it's getting such great reviews. I think people will find it if it gets the opportunity, if it's allowed to play the time it needs to play for people to come to it. But I think it could be a really big hit if it has the opportunity, if it's given the opportunity, which let's hope it is. What else we got here? Oh, Jack, I watched Event Horizon the other week because I heard a lot of people liked it. I found it kind of bullshitty, but Lawrence Fishburne was great in it. Okay, well, fair enough. Some people don't like it, some people do. I would kind of like I would kind of like to go back to it, though, and at least give it another chance. I'd like to at least take a look and see what it is people are reacting to in it. Daniel, what is this? I feel like guys like Henry who love to watch and analyze movies should at least do some writing, YouTube shorts, etc., to put that knowledge to use. That's a good point, man. That's a good point. I should... I should. I'm assuming you're meaning like short films, stuff like that. I should start doing stuff like that. Just need to get off my lazy ass and make it happen. Hopefully when I'm in Portland, you know, with Felix and my brother, and we're all kind of like working together and collaborating on stuff, hopefully we will start doing stuff like that. That's my hope. That's my ambition. And yeah, if we do, then great. Yeah, hopefully I'll be uploading more stuff, more things like that. But we'll see. I don't know. Of course, we're also going to have full-time jobs. We'll need to earn a living. So, I mean, it's hard to work stuff out like that sometimes. But we'll try and make it happen. I at least want to, like, while I'm in Portland, like, get some work on, like, independent productions or, like, student films, whatever I can, you know, just to network, gain some experience, you know. I think that'd be fun. And if I can, yeah, try and get some shorts of my own made. I've got some scripts. I could potentially make something happen. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, wow. LJ Draco, the new Mission Impossible is being filmed an hour away from my house. I saw Tom Cruise in a helicopter when I was on a bus. What a sight to see. Oh, that sounds a lot of fun. I think when I was living in Seattle, there were a couple of productions happening there, but nothing really of note. I think they filmed like Project X, that like found footage party movie that was really bad. I think they filmed a scene for that in a house near where I lived in Seattle, Washington. Could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it was that movie, but it was kind of like, whatever. And I think they did something. There was like a water tank somewhere where they did scenes for that movie Battleship, of all movies. And I think actually one of the guys I went to film school with, he got hired as a PA on there, and he said he had a conversation with one of the cameramen, and he was saying like, yeah, this guy's like one of the biggest cameramen in the business. He worked on all the Transformers movies. He's working on Battleship. Like he really knows his shit. Like he knew so much and was talking to me about it. So I mean, like, don't judge a craftsman by the projects that he works on. I mean, even though, yeah, stuff like Battleship and Transformers aren't the best movies, in my opinion, they're certainly well made. There's certainly a level of skill and craftsmanship in there. So, you never know. Whatever you can work on, you never know what you might learn or what you might gain from the experience. So keep an open mind. Keep an open mind. Oh, Jack. I watched The Bad Batch and loved it. Hey, great. Don't get mad, but I preferred it over 2049. No, I'm glad to hear that. I think Bad Batch is an underrated, underseen movie, so I'm glad you liked it. As much as I love Blade Runner 2049, yeah, I'm not upset that you preferred Bad Batch to 2049. I think that's wonderful. Bad Batch deserves the love, so I'm glad to hear that. Felix. Over 2049? It's okay. Let's see. Oop, and I lost my place again. Let's see. Oh, Felix, dude, it's time to make a flick. It is. Yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully we can make something happen when I get up there. Let's see. Oh, Ryan Smith has joined us. Welcome. Just saw Mother. Wow. Yeah, that's about the best way to explain it, right? Wow. What just happened? It is one that it has to sit with you for a little while and process, Let's see. Oh, Jack, going back to 2049. 2049's third act kind of annoyed me. I didn't hate it, but it did lessen the masterpiece that I saw in the first two. All right. Fair enough. I don't agree with that. I thought the third act was just as spectacular as the first two. But you know what? I respect your opinion on this one. If that's the way you reacted, okay. I disagree. It does. I think I mentioned this earlier, and without spoiling anything, yeah, it does move in a more urgent direction, more of kind of like a thriller, action-driven direction. But by that point, yeah, again, I don't feel it lost track of the themes, the ideas, the atmosphere, the tone, the setting, the characters, everything I felt just as strongly in the third act, even though it went in that direction. I still felt everything just as strongly in the third act as I did in the first two. So that was my experience with it. But, like I said, some people get the film boner, others don't. What else? Jack, has anyone seen the 2017 It? I seem to be the only person who was really annoyed by it. Haven't seen it yet, so I can't join you in that discussion. But I've been hearing good things about it. I probably should see it at some point fairly soon. Oh, Movies for Life. Free Fire was shot a few blocks away from where I live. Wow. Were they keeping you up all night with setting off the blanks and the squibs and the explosions and everything? Was it disruptive? I'm sure they were responsible. Let's see. Oh, Ryan Smith. Henry, how about Cynic Doki New York for next Mega Movie Monday? Or maybe The Green Butcher and Adam's Apples. You know what? We're trying to get I'm trying to write down all the suggestions for Mega Movie Monday. Got a few already. And we're doing horror for October right now for Halloween. But once October is over, yeah, we'll try and get into some suggestions, but I'll write those down. Cynic Doki New York. New York. Sorry, I'm sure it's really exciting to watch me write stuff on a pad, but I'll try and do these really quick. Adam's Apples, which was a good one. Were you the one that first suggested Adam's Apples to me? Because that was a good one. And Green Butchers. Yeah, we'll try and get to those at some point. And I'll make sure I'll write your name down so we can thank you in the episode. Ryan Smith. Okay. Yeah, thank you for the suggestions. Right. Try to get to those when we can. Can't make any promises right now, but hopefully we'll make them happen eventually. But yeah, Cynic Doki New York is a great one. That's definitely one. I haven't seen it in a long time. I would definitely like to go back to that one. Have a talk about that one. Let's see. Oh, Daniel, Henry, I'll put your voice in one of my animations one day. I like you. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. And if you're an animator, I actually, since I wasn't planning on doing a stream today, I didn't get a chance to really set anything up today. But I do want to start doing interviews on Videodrone starting next week. What I'm going to start doing is I want to do like an hour before the actual like movie chat. I want to just do an hour where I do like an interview conversation with different filmmakers, film fans, whomever. If you're interested in doing that, I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you about movies, about your work. If you have stuff you want to promote and share, I'd love to discuss that and tell people to go watch it. But yeah, if you've any filmmakers out there, anyone out there, yeah, who wants to come on the show and have a discussion, be more than happy to book you. I've got 3 guests lined up so far, so it might be a bit of a wait. But yeah, send me a message on Facebook, an email, something. I'd love to have you on here and talk about your work. It's really cool to hear you're an animator. That's great, man. And yeah, if I can do a voice, that'd be awesome. If my voice is not too annoying for you. Let's see. Oh, Daniel, again, these days anyone can make anything. That is definitely true. You could spend 10 years working on a script and potentially get 0 views when you finish the movie, or make hundreds of small videos and get experience. Yes. There's never, even if something is a failure, you always learn something from it. It's always better to be doing something, creating something. And yes, like you said, gaining that experience. If you succeed, if you fail, you learn something from it. You gain something that you can apply to the next thing you do. And yeah, I think a lot of people now are afraid of failure. They're afraid of failing. Failure is not a bad thing. Failure is not the end of the world. Failure is a learning experience. Failure teaches you something. So yeah, anyone out there who is wanting to do something, is wanting to try and like make a film, do a YouTube channel, whatever it is, go out there and do it. Make it happen. And if you fail, so what? Learn from that failure, apply it to the next thing, and try again. Just go out and do it. Just go out and do it. I need to take my own advice one of these days. We'll see if I ever do. And Volstix. I must say, I love Event Horizon. Okay, we're getting the other end of the spectrum here. Watched it at about 4 in the morning at this great party in the summer of '98 when everyone was coming down, chilling. It was great. But it made one kid who was on, okay, I think there's a second part to this. Let me see if I can find it. I lost my place in the chat again. Where is it? Who was on, okay, a cornucopia of drugs, psychedelics, etc. Woof. He slashed his wrists. Oh my God, literally tried to kill himself. That's horrifying. He was found unconscious in the bathroom, blood everywhere. Wow, he survived in the end. Thank God. Jeez. Honestly, I spoke to him a few weeks afterwards. He basically said it was that film. It just tipped me over the edge. I'm paraphrasing. Oh, he wasn't mentally stable to begin with. Okay, so he had some issues he was dealing with. Wow, that is an extraordinarily extreme reaction, though. That's really, yeah, thank God he's okay. Thank God. But wow, that's amazing that a film would have that effect on somebody. Yeah, that's really disturbing. Yeah, but really striking. Yeah, wow. There are people, yeah, that really strongly react to that film. It's interesting. I don't, not sure what it is. I'd like to go back, but man, what a story. Horrifying. Um, yeah, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, don't mean to get too heavy, but wow, that's quite a story. Um, oh, Chaz's Dungeon, talking about Mute, the new Duncan Jones movie, who is a very good filmmaker. He did Moon in 2009, which is a great sci-fi movie. Talking about great sci-fi, Moon is a terrific one. And yeah, he's got a new movie coming out for Netflix called Mute, Chaz's Dungeon. I think that Mute will be moved to 2018. I haven't heard anything about that. But, you know, if there's a reason for that, okay. It's definitely one I would like to see. Sounds like it's going to be good. Because Duncan Jones, yeah, has done some pretty big movies as his last few projects. His last one was Warcraft, which I thought was going to be terrible. Warcraft, I didn't actually think was too bad. But yeah, Mute looks like a return kind of to more of the low scale, kind of like idea-driven sci-fi, which I think Duncan Jones does really well and really cleverly. So I'm excited for Mute. Hopefully that's good. Movies for Life. Oh man, Mute looks fantastic. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What else we got? What else we got? Oh, Felix, I'd love to do Synecdoche, New York. All right. So Ryan Smith looks like it's gonna happen someday soon. Not in October. Again, yeah, we're doing horror films in October. But yeah, soon after that, sounds like we probably will do Synecdoche. So thank you for the suggestion. Oh yeah, Felix, yeah, posting in the chat. We Felix and I, yeah, we both saw it with Kaufman in the audience, writer director Charlie Kaufman. Yeah, we saw Synecdoche, New York at the Roger Ebert Film Festival in 2010, 2011, back when Roger Ebert was still alive. And yeah, Synecdoche, New York played there. And Charlie Kaufman was there in the audience. We got to talk to him a little bit. He did a Q&A. Really cool. You could tell he was a really shy guy, kind of, yeah, not too comfortable. I remember, yeah, he didn't really make eye contact with anyone. Yeah, he seemed kind of weirded out by all the attention. But yeah, he is really intelligent guy too. Really fascinating individual and a brilliant filmmaker. Let's see. Oh, Movies for Life. Free Fire, going back to Free Fire. The production paid all the neighbors £200 for the noise they caused. Oh, that's great. That's great. That's really funny. Let's see. Oh, Sasha. Apocalypse Now and Lawrence of Arabia are, to my mind, experiences, not films. That they are. Yeah, Apocalypse Now is certainly, it's a trip. It's a journey into the heart of darkness. And Lawrence of Arabia, yeah, is this epic, sweeping spectacle, you know, about the ambitions of individuals, yeah, and of those people that do try to make and shape history. It really is something else. Yeah, Lawrence of Arabia and Apocalypse Now, those are two of the magnificent achievements of cinema. They're both incredible films. Apocalypse Now in particular is one of my all-time favorites. One of those formative films for me as well. I saw it when I was a teenager, and it was one of those movies, one of the first movies I can remember watching and really thinking to myself, wow, this is what films are capable of. This is what, you know, a filmmaker is capable of. And what it was the first time I really remember feeling that a movie was made on a vision, the vision of an individual and an artist. And I remember that was one of the first moments I can recall where I thought to myself, I want to be a filmmaker. I want to be a director and make things like this. So yeah, Apocalypse Now is a pretty important one for me, a pretty formative one. And it's always remained one of my all-time favorites. Lawrence of Arabia is a more recent discovery for me. I didn't see it until a couple years ago. I actually caught it in 70 millimeter at the Seattle Cinerama, one of the best theaters I've ever been to. And yeah, it was amazing. And the Blu-ray too it's unbelievable. It's one of the best picture-wise, picture quality. It's one of the most incredibly gorgeous Blu-rays you could ever get. And yeah, it's a classic film at that, a masterpiece. And yeah, they are experiences. They really are. You just kind of have to give yourself over to them more than anything. Oh, and Volsticks, Raw, a film I have seen. Great. Yeah, and I should talk about that because I was going to talk about Raw last week, or yeah, I think it was last week. Because Raw was actually the first movie I ever rented from a Redbox. I'd never used a Redbox before. And I was like, oh, Raw is available. I should check it out. And as I said last week, the disc I got was defective. There was a big scratch on it, so I couldn't actually watch the whole thing. But luckily, funnily enough, kind of funny how serendipity happens sometimes, Raw was just recently added to Netflix streaming. So I gave it a watch today, as a matter of fact, on there. Just finished it like minutes before I started the stream. So yeah, now I can finally talk about it. And it looks like I'm behind on the chat again. What else? What else do we have here? Okay, there it was. I keep losing my place. I'm sorry. Sometimes it'll jump me ahead in the chat and I'll lose where I was. So if I'm missing any comments, I apologize for that. But I'm trying to stay caught up here. Let's see. Horror thriller Pathology. Please write that down, Henry. Oops, don't want to spill my coffee. Pathology, I'm guessing, is the title there. I will write that down. I wrote down Parnassus, too. I remember, LJ, you suggested Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, a great Terry Gilliam movie. So I wrote that one down, too. Pathology. All right. LJ. All right. Wrote it down. Good. Done. Got it. Let's see. Let's see. Some drug talk. I'm sure, yeah, Felix has an interest in that. Felix is more enthusiastic about that than I am. I've never really been too keen on that world. But, you know, that's just me. What else we got here? What else we got? No judgment, though. Just to be clear, no judgment. Yeah, Felix. October is all horror flicks. We're pretty booked up. Yeah, we're gonna do all horror for Mega Movie Monday in October. But after that, yeah, we'll try and get into some of the suggestions and doing other stuff too. Let's see. Oh, Jack, for October, you better be doing Kill List. Yeah, Kill List is a good one. The Ben Wheatley movie. That's a really disturbing film. I'll write that down. Kill List. Yeah, talking about Free Fire, same director. Yeah, Kill List is a really good one. Not quite a horror movie, but still really creepy and disturbing. Kill List. Yeah, that's a good one. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm gonna write your name down too. Chet Cutie? Is that how you say your name? Jack Chet Cutie? That's my guess. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. Let's see. Oh, Volsticks. Felix, film school failure. You or Henry or both write a script. Oh. Would you or Henry be interested in collaborating on a really short comic? Oh, wow. Like, write a script for me to draw. Wow, that'd be interesting. We could give it a shot. Oh, and Felix has a script he can send you right now. Yeah, cool. Let me know what comes of that. That sounds like it'd be fun. Really interesting. Yeah, I do have some stuff. I have a few things that could potentially make interesting comics. If you like drawing that stuff. Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun to collaborate on something. Yeah, should shoot me an email or something. What else? What else? What else? Oh, Lord Byron, Henry, I made a teaser for the feature I wrote. Would love for you to check it out. Okay, yeah, well, shoot me an email or a message on Facebook or something. Yeah, I'll try to watch it. Maybe have you on the show at some point. Yeah, so you can talk about it. Something. Yeah, absolutely. Would love to. Oh, talking about the music for the fountain. Yeah, who is it? Clint Mansell. That's right. Yeah, The Fountain is one of the best soundtracks ever. It's a great one. Death is the Road to Awe, the best shit ever. I concur with you on that one, Jack. That's a great, great cut. Great little piece that gets used in like just about every film trailer out there. Anytime, yeah, somebody putting together a film trailer needs something with a lot of drive and momentum that can also inspire a feeling of awe. They go to that track off of The Fountain. It's just it's the best one you can get for all of that stuff. I keep hearing it still to this day pop up in trailers, but it's a good piece, so I like hearing it. Let's see. More drug talk. We talked about that last week. A lot of drug talk, and I got hit with that thing YouTube is doing, where they limit your ads. Depending on the stuff that is that gets brought up in the discussions or in the videos. Yeah, I got hit with an ad limit on the last video I did, so I don't know if I want to go down the same road. But it was a fun discussion to have last week. Again, no judgment. Let's see. Oh, just talking about doing some short films. Yeah. Daniel, a full-on proper movie with good writing, lighting, acting is another story. You need to plan it a lot more. That's the big thing. Preparation. Like Ben Kingsley says in Sexy Beast, that's what it's all about. Preparation, preparation, preparation. You really need to go in with a plan. I've worked on low-budget films, indie films in my day, and that is definitely the lesson I took away. Go in with a plan, know exactly what you're doing, because you just do not have the time or the money to mess around. You just got to get in there, get what you need, make it happen, which is tough because, everybody's got to be on the ball. Everyone. It's like there are so many different pieces to a film production, and there are so many variables to deal with. Like, just getting a movie made is a miracle. So every film I see, I try to approach with a base level of respect. It's like they got a movie made, no matter how bad it is, no matter how bad it may or may not be. It's like they made a movie, they made it happen. So that's something that deserves some piece of kudos or respect or something. Whether or not it's good is a different story, but I try to at least be respectful to the fact that, hey, this group of people, they got together and they made something. That's something. I don't want to shit on that. But yeah, making a good movie, especially for not a lot of money, not a lot of time, the fact that some people are able to go out there and do that, especially somebody like a Shane Carruth, who's like doing everything himself, like acting, writing, directing, cinematography, editing, sound, music, all of that. The fact that he can make movies as good as he does is nothing short of miraculous. I don't know how he does that, but it's amazing that he can. Yeah, I just have an endless amount of admiration for Shane Carruth for being able to do that. Let's see. Oh, Sasha, could you speak about Blue Ruin on Mega Movie Monday? Maybe. Absolutely. That's another great one. Not quite a horror movie. I think Green Room, talking about that director, Jeremy Saulnier. Green Room is more kind of a horror movie, not quite. But Blue Ruin, to say the least, is intense. It's really intense and a great film. Blue Ruin, again, talk about low budget, things done quickly, cheaply, but still with extraordinary results. Blue Ruin absolutely falls into that category. Yeah, I think it was a Kickstarter production too. Let's see. Oh, Jack Chakouti. Jack Chakouti. Am I saying that right? Chakouti. Jack Chakouti. Okay. Hopefully I can remember that. Thank you. Thank you, though. Jack Chakouti. Chakouti. Let's see. Talk about cameras. Yeah, I wish I knew more about digital cameras. I would love if I got the opportunity to just shoot on film. Digital is good if you know how to use it, but to me, just like film never really looks bad. You can do just about anything with film. Digital, you got to be really careful about how you utilize it because it can look terrible if you don't know how to work with it. Let's see. Oh, Volstix. Henry, you missed my comment about A Dark Song. Felix. Felix bit. Okay, it's an oppressive, dark horror. No jump scares, very little gore, just two people in a house doing a dangerous occult ritual. Did I write that down? I think you suggested this in a comment or something. Sorry, trying to get a look here. Yes, I did write that down. You did post that somewhere else. A Dark Song. Okay, it is written down though, so thank you. Yeah, we'll try and look into that one. It can be kind of tricky sometimes figuring out a movie that both Felix and I do have easy access to, so sometimes that can be a little tricky. But once we're both in Portland, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to work out seeing some more obscure kind of stuff like that. Right now, it's just kind of like, what's on Netflix? What can we both stream and see easily? But yeah, hopefully we'll be able to dig into other stuff like that. Unless A Dark Song is streaming, I'll have to check and make sure. But I could just be an idiot right now and not know that it's available somewhere. But I'll look into it. So thank you. Let's see. Yeah, more talk about techniques, animation, rotoscoping. This is stuff I know nothing about. I am not, I am not into the world of animation. I have a great deal of respect for it. I love animation as an art form, but it is definitely not something I could do. It requires more talent and imagination than I possess, but it is definitely an art form that I have a great deal of respect and admiration for. Some of the best filmmakers in the world, I think, are animators, like Hayao Miyazaki. The guy that did The Red Turtle, I still can't remember his name. I think it's Michael Dudok de Witt. Gosh, and who are the others? Sylvain Chomet, who did Triplets of Belleville and The Illusionist, great movies. Gosh, who else? There's a lot more than that too. Oh, the Leica Studios, who do stop motion animation. Gosh, and what's his name? Henry Selick. Stuff like Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas, movies like Paranorman, The Box Trolls. Great films, so beautifully crafted by hand. I love that. I have respect also for digital animation and like the work of Pixar studios like that. They're great at what they do, but yeah, there's just something about a handmade movie, hand-drawn animation, like Studio Ghibli, stuff like that, or Sylvain Chomet, or like stop motion, handcrafted stop motion animation is so beautiful to me, so magical. I'm incapable of not enjoying a movie like that. It's wondrous to me. I just become a child again and just become enraptured and transported with a movie like that. Let's see. Oh, Alejandro Moncrief, and I'm sure I'm saying your name wrong, so I apologize for that. One of my favorite pieces of anime from this century, Aku no Hana, The Flowers of Evil, only uses rotoscoping as an aesthetic choice. That's interesting. I'll write that down. The Flowers of Evil. Yeah, rotoscoping is a technique. It's like what Richard Linklater did with a couple of his movies, Waking Life, which is one of my favorites, and A Scanner Darkly, which is a great one too, talking about Philip K. Dick and science fiction, idea-driven science fiction. Scanner Darkly is a great one. Yeah, they're both done with rotoscoped animation, which is where you shoot with live actors, real people, and then you animate over the live action footage. But yeah, those talking about rotoscoped animation, those are two of my favorites. I think Linklater used it in a really interesting, clever way. But Flowers of Evil, I will look into that one. Never heard of it before. Evil. Gosh, and I should talk about Raw. How far behind am I still? I'm only 5 minutes behind in the chat, so I'm close. I'm nearly there. Let's see. Oh, and I lost my place again. Damn it. Talking about Flowers of Evil. Alejandro Moncrief again. Highly recommended. Slow burner, strange, dark, and surreal piece of work. Sounds good. Let's see. Let's see. Volstix. Who was it who said that the truly transcendental always evokes terror? I think it was maybe Milton or Caspar David Friedrich, the German transcendentalist painter. A painting of his was referenced in The Revenant. I mean, they recreated it for a shot. Oh, wow. That's interesting. I've never heard of this painter. I'm so uncultured when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't know a lot about art history. I'm just kind of an ignorant, uncultured American. So I'm sorry about that. But it's always interesting to hear about this stuff. Learn things I never knew before. Some people a lot smarter than me, watch these dumb things that I do. So I'm grateful for that. Oh, Sasha, do your Mega Movie Mondays go out live? They don't. We record them, we stream them onto YouTube, but we make the videos private, and then we post them later. That's just because Felix and I are in two different places. That's kind of the only way we can do it right now, at least the only way that we know of doing it. So that's just kind of the method we're utilizing right now. But yeah, they aren't live streams, just to be clear on that. Chaz's Dungeon. No offense, you should probably discuss Raw. I should. You're absolutely right. But I think I'm nearly caught up on the chat here. I just want to see what else there is. And yeah, Chaz's Dungeon also brings up Svankmajer. Animators are technically puppeteers, or at least Jan Svankmajer believes so. And then Alejandro Moncrief says, Svankmajer is one of my personal gods. Yeah, he's a great one. I'm not too familiar with his work, but I've seen bits and pieces. And yeah, there's some great stuff. There's a really, creepiness, a disturbing quality to Svankmajer's work that is really interesting. But yeah, they all have this very specific look and tone that I think is kind of inimitable. There's a way Svankmajer does it. There's a way he frames. There's a way he shoots. There's a way he animates that I feel like is very specific to him. I don't know enough about how animation is executed to really begin to pick it apart. But he's one of those animators you always know when you're watching one of his movies. You can just start it from the very first shot. You know, like, oh, this is Jan Svankmajer. This is nobody else. This couldn't possibly be anyone else. I need to watch more of his stuff. I wrote some down. I think it was you suggested Alejandro Moncrief, or maybe it was Chaz's Dungeon. Somebody suggested a bunch of Svankmajer shorts to me last week. I wrote a bunch down. I still need to see those, try and find them. Oh, and Volstix. Fucking Richard Williams, The Thief and the Cobbler. Yeah. Oh, man. The Thief and the Cobbler is such a tragic story. Such a visionary movie that was so compromised in the last possible moment. Such a tragedy. But they're trying to restore it, which is good. I don't know if they've succeeded yet. It's been a while since I've read an update on The Thief and the Cobbler. But yeah, that was like a thing. Unbelievable sequences of hand-drawn animation in The Thief and the Cobbler that took years, decades to create. And yeah, the guy that was making it, I'm guessing his name is Richard Williams. I forgot his name, but I guess it's Richard Williams. Yeah, he just spent ages and ages working on this thing, meticulously drawing these incredibly detailed scenes all by hand. And then I think he died suddenly. He passed away. And it just kind of got bought out by somebody else, finished really cheaply. And there was going to be like almost no spoken dialogue in the movie. They recorded all this dialogue, wrote a bunch of voiceover, totally compromised the thing in the last possible second. And it got turned into this travesty. And for years afterwards, I think somebody at Disney, Walt Disney's son or grandson, somebody there has been trying for years and years to restore the original director's cut, to find all the original footage, all the original notes and storyboards, and to put it back as close as possible to the original version. I don't know if that's been accomplished yet. I think they're still working on it. I should try to find an update on the current status of that. But yeah, it's a fascinating story. Really sad, yeah, the direction it took, and hopefully the restoration efforts are eventually successful. Oh, and yeah, what you said about Svankmajer too, saying animators are basically puppeteers. I think there is an element of truth to that, just in the sense that the way I'm interpreting it, just in the sense that like an animator kind of has to do everything themselves. Like not only, I guess you don't have to write, but you kind of do have to be a writer. You have to be a director. You sort of have to be a cinematographer. You also have to be an editor, because I mean, in animation, you can't shoot coverage. You kind of just get the piece you need, and then that's it. You move on to the next thing. There can't really be anything extraneous or superfluous in animation. It all has to be very precise. And you also have to be an actor. You have to know how to convey emotion through an inanimate object, through a two-dimensional drawing, or through just an inanimate thing that you're manipulating frame by frame. You have to know, how do I use body language? How do I use expression? How do I convey emotion through this thing that I'm creating or manipulating? You do have to be like actor, filmmaker, editor, all in one. That's why, yeah, it just, I don't know if I could do that. That's why I don't really want to get into animation. It just seems like you have to have such a vision, such an imagination to make that happen. But the ones who do it, who are really great at it, it's amazing to me. It's astounding to me. It is like watching magic happen in action. It's incredible. Let's see. Oops, lost my place again. I'm sorry. Oh, but somebody did bring up the Brothers Quay. Drake Avila. The Brothers Quay in Svankmajer. And I've never seen the Brothers Quay. But I do know the Brothers Quay had a big influence on one of my favorite filmmakers, Tarsem. He designed a lot of his first feature film, The Cell. He designed a lot of the dream sequences after the Brothers Quay. I was really inspired by their work in specifically a sequence of like the museum when Jennifer Lopez is in Vincent D'Onofrio's mind. It's a crazy movie if you've never seen it. It's great though. It's one of my favorites. There's a whole sequence where she's in the serial killer's mind and she's seeing like this museum where like all of his victims are displayed. The set design, the way that sequence was created and directed was very heavily influenced by the Brothers Quay. And I've never seen their work. I should try and watch some of their stuff. But that's as close as I've gotten to their work, is that sequence in The Cell, which is a great sequence, a visionary sequence. Tarsem's a great director, doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think he's one of the best out there, who unfortunately just oftentimes the material he works with, is just kind of beneath him, unfortunately. But he has done some great movies. The Cell is a great movie, and so is The Fall. Just throwing that out there. Watch those two. They're masterpieces. But I do want to try and watch some of the Brothers Quay. Yeah, I've heard they are pretty amazing. Let's see. Oh, Cinnamon Sand, White Lightning. Dominic Murphy, 2009. Would be nice to see you talk about in Mega Movie Mondays. It's not so well known as I think it should be. Curious about your thoughts, discussion on that one. I'll write it down. White Lightning. Some more exciting streaming action as Henry writes down another suggestion. White Lightning. Okay. And that's from Cinnamon Sand. Cinnamon Sand. Yeah, I spelled that right. Thank you for the suggestion. Street of Crocodiles, still one of my favorite pieces of animation ever made. Just a great achievement from Alejandro Moncrief. A masterpiece of stop motion. Street of Crocodiles, never heard of it. Wow. Street of Crocodiles. I'll get to Raw in just a second, I swear. I will get to it in just a second. Street of Crocodiles. Ball sticks. Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. Don't do yourself down. We know you're a clever dude. You're erudite as fuck. Such a great considered speaker. Sorry to sound sycophantic. No. Thank you. Yeah, that's always been an issue with me, especially doing like my own YouTube channel. Is oftentimes I just lack the confidence. You know, when I sit down to do one of these streams or something, it's like I don't have anything interesting to say. I don't know what I'm talking about. What am I doing? And you kind of just like, it is just a part of like putting yourself out there and doing something, creating something that you just kind of have to get over your own. Always hear a truck starting. That's become a staple of these streams. Last time it'll happen though. This is the last one I'm doing it here. But that is kind of something you have to get over. Your own, I guess at a certain point you just have to get out of your own way. You know, your own lack of confidence, whatever it is. You just have to do something, you know. You just have to go out there and do it. See what happens. And so yeah, it is kind of a thing every time I sit down to do something, a stream, whatever it is, I just have to say like, okay, you have your doubts, but just do it. And once I do it, you know, I start to relax and I start to enjoy myself, and that's the important thing. Daniel again, when it comes to animation, keep in mind it involves everything from audio creation. Yeah, that's true. You can't have any like on-set sound, which is always the thing that impresses me about animation, especially the Studio Ghibli stuff. Like one of the most amazing sound designs I've ever heard in my life is actually in the Studio Ghibli film, The Secret World of Arrietty. Because it's basically a retelling of the borrowers, these small miniature people that live inside this house and that, you know, borrow things for their own little home that they have inside the house. And the whole way that movie is designed in terms of the sound is amazing to me, because it sounds as if they are in a real house. There's such an attention to detail in hearing wood creak, in hearing the room tones, hearing a bed squeak. It's all so specifically designed to where you really sound as if you're in an actual physical house. And you have to remember, this is all just a thing that exists on paper. It's just drawings, it's just pencil and ink and color on a flat surface. But it feels so real. You feel as if you're in a real space, a real house, a real home. It's incredible. It really, the sound design especially, the animation in Arrietty is gorgeous as well. But it's really the sound that transports me whenever I watch that movie. It's really great. One that I don't feel is often praised in the Ghibli catalog, but Secret World of Arrietty is a great one, I think. But yes, Daniel said, it involves everything from audio creation, editing, video editing, drawing, rigging, animation, directing, camera work, rendering, etc. It's multiple jobs. That it is. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I have to tip my hat to anybody that does it. It's amazing that they can make all of that happen. And it looks like Daniel's out of here. See you later. You probably are already gone, but thank you for sticking around. Hopefully, hope to see you again. Let's see. Oh, and Chaz's Dungeon. I can send you the Shea Saint John Triggers compilation. I have the DVD, and the film isn't copyrighted. Interesting. Yeah, for fear of legal action, I don't want to say anything here, but yeah, maybe send me a Facebook message or an email or something. But yeah, thank you for the offer. I do still have that one written down. I haven't looked into it yet. I'm trying to get some of the other ones knocked off the list. But thank you for the offer. We'll try and talk more about that. Oh, wow. I didn't know about this. Volstix, Richard Williams is still alive. It's a long and tragic story about the film, though. I must have read something different, though. I must have read the wrong thing. Yeah, I thought he died. That's interesting. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, what little I do know about Thief and the Cobbler, it's heartbreaking. Really heartbreaking what happened to that movie. Just the ambition behind it and how it got so undermined and so compromised right at the end there. Just, oof, I couldn't imagine the frustration that, if he's still alive, that guy must have felt. Ugh. Volstix. Oh, good. We're redirecting the conversation to Raw. Thank you for this. Raw actually disturbed me pretty deeply. Not a vegetarian or anything, but damn, talk about visceral horror. Yes, and I will try, and I think I'm at the end of the chat here. All right, I caught up. Yes. I don't know if you, Sasha, you, you lech. Zoe Saldana, Jessica Alba, instant film boner. Oh, you. You're incorrigible. But yeah, you kept posting that, so I had to read it. But yes, Raw, should talk about that one. I just finished it earlier today. Yeah, that is a good one, a really good one. And I'm actually glad I didn't talk about it going off of the Redbox DVD, because I found out as I was watching it on Netflix, the DVD from Redbox was cut. It was censored. There was stuff I know for certain that I was seeing while I was streaming it on Netflix, that even though like I missed about a 10-minute chunk from Raw because of the defective disc, I know there was definitely stuff that I did not see on the DVD that I saw streaming on Netflix. So I think I definitely got a cut, censored version of Raw. So now I'm even more glad that I didn't talk about it last week, because there was a lot that I missed. Because I remember watching Raw and hearing a lot about it, like, oh my God, it's so disturbing, it's so visceral. And I was watching the Redbox DVD, and it was like, I don't know why people are talking about it that way. I don't think it's that bad. There's not really anything that extreme here that I'm seeing. Now I finally seen the unedited version. Now I get what people are talking about. Now it makes more sense. So yeah, I was complaining about Netflix earlier on this stream, but got to give them credit for that. I did get to see Raw in its original form, streamed in my home, so that's nice. Netflix isn't all bad. I can be hard on them sometimes for those annoyances, but hey, there's a lot of good that comes with Netflix too. But yeah, so I got to see the whole thing. A lot of sequences, yeah, that were indeed much more visceral than the Redbox DVD that I saw, and I got to see the whole thing too. And yeah, it is a really terrific, extraordinary, really well-made, effective, unusual, original horror film. Are we talking about Raw here of all sticks? I really enjoy the guy who plays the father. He's been in some weird films. Calvaire, that's pretty strange. Damn, forgotten his name. Oh, and some talk about the Shea Saint compilation thing, which I don't know what this is. But yeah, Alejandro Moncrief, definitely interested in it. Never seen the shorts. They sound really intriguing. So there's apparently a history to this thing that I don't know about. I've never heard of it. So there's definitely, it sounds like there's some backstory to this. And Chaz's Dungeon says it's impossible to describe definitively. Sounds interesting. I will have to look into this. You're fascinating me. You're drawing me in with these cryptic discussions. But yeah, Raw. It's a French-Belgian co-production, from what I understand. It's very recent. I think it came out this year, 2017, and it's the first film from I forgot her name. I think it's Julia something. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot her name. I tried to make sure that I was going to remember it, but I forgot it. I was talking for 3 hours about Blade Runner and other stuff, so it's slipped right out of there. I'm sorry about that. If somebody can post it, that would definitely help me out. But yeah, it's her first movie, and it is an auspicious debut, to say the least. It is really a daring piece of work, and definitely reveals her as an extraordinary talent. But Raw, yeah, it's the story of a young woman who goes to a medical college, a veterinarian college. Am I saying that right? Veterinarian? I think so. Veterinarian college. Animal doctor. You know what I'm saying. She goes to a veterinary medical college and is studying to become a vet. And in the process, basically that's the setting for the movie. And so it's kind of while she's at this medical college, she starts experiencing like the social pressures of a college environment. She kind of starts coming of age, sexually, and throughout her experiences, she's a vegetarian who tries meat for the first time over the course of the story, and slowly her ravenous appetite begins developing to such an extreme, to the point where she begins to realize that she may indeed be a cannibal. So that's kind of the concept of the movie. It's kind of about, meat cannibalism, and also using it as a really interesting metaphor for like female puberty, essentially female sexuality. It's really interesting. I feel like you don't often see movies like this in the horror genre. Like most things, the film industry, admittedly is pretty male dominated. That's starting to change, which is a nice thing to see. But horror especially, I feel like, is a really especially male dominated genre. But this is really interesting. Raw is, not only in that it's a female-driven movie. The main character is female. Most of the main cast is female. It's written and directed by a woman, and also I feel like it deals with issues and themes that are very specifically female. I think it is about being a woman. I think it is about the social pressures that come with being female, and it is about specifically female sexuality, and also the different pressures and expectations that come with that as well. Oh, Jack, damn it, I forgot your name already. Chakudi, that's it, isn't it? God, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm so bad with names, but Jack Chakudi. No spoilers for Raw. Haven't seen it yet. Okay, I will avoid spoiling any of the major moments. Hopefully, I haven't spoiled too much already. But yeah, I'll try to be really vague with it, if for anyone who hasn't seen it. But yeah, it is a movie that it kind of reminded me of certain other films that are similar in a sense. There's a movie called Ginger Snaps, which uses, what is it, werewolves in that one? I think it uses lycanthropy as a metaphor for kind of like puberty and female sexuality. Oh, I am saying it correctly. Thank you. Jack Chakudi. All right. Thank you. But yeah, there are a few movies like this, or like The Babadook was written and directed by a woman, about motherhood, about, I think that one also dealt with themes and issues very specifically female oriented. And Raw, I think, is an example of the same kind of thematic exploration, which is really interesting to me. It's not something you typically see in the horror genre, and I'm always really engaged when I see that, something that kind of breaks outside the box, tries something different, new voices, new perspectives. I'm always really excited by that. And Raw really is something different, both conceptually in the way it deals with a subject like cannibalism, and also the setting, of the veterinary hospital. And there are very disturbing scenes, or I guess not disturbing. I guess for me, they were disturbing and really difficult to watch because I'm an animal lover, and I also have a fear of hospitals and medical settings. So, there are sequences where, like, there's a really extraordinary scene where a horse is anesthetized, and you see like the drug starting to work on the horse, and it slowly loses consciousness. It's really like, oh my God. That a scene like that was really difficult for me to watch. And I'm sure this is a movie that will be difficult for other people to watch as well. It certainly has been. Oh, is LJ leaving? Oh, LJ, gonna go now, guys. Henry, thanks for talking, giving us all another amazing stream. Hey, yeah, you're welcome. Glad you could join us. Yeah, so have a good one. But yeah, definitely there were sequences in Raw that, as someone who fears hospitals and medical settings, and as an animal lover, they were amazing sequences. But yeah, they were really difficult for me to watch. I won't say anything more than that. And yeah, finally getting to see the movie in its original form, there are a lot of really amazing, really well done, and very visceral, impactful scenes of body horror as well, of this girl, the main character, going through these changes, which of course it's not hard to read the subtlety there, or the subtext there. of her body going through changes, you know, experiencing these new urges, these new physical reactions. But yeah, some of the most effective moments, I thought. It's not really an especially bloody or gory movie. There are a few like big moments of violence, of gore, but it's all pretty restrained. Where the movie is really visceral and disgusting and disturbing is in just observing certain biological moments. Like there's a scene where a character, how much do I want to spoil? But there's a scene involving a rash that the main character gets. And the whole way it's done of emphasizing like the body's reaction to that, and of shooting things in close up, and of using sound design that is really grating and unpleasant. There are just certain moments of body horror like that I found very, very effective. So, you know, you're not really seeing things being dismembered. You're not really seeing people get ripped apart or their guts pulled out or anything like that. It just kind of hones in on little things and emphasizes them and renders them in such a way that you do kind of have this nauseated, visceral reaction to them. It's really well done. Not the typical kind of horror stuff that you usually see. So both in concept, setting, and themes that are dealt with, and in execution, I found Raw to be a really original piece of work, and a really effective piece of work. And like I said, it's streaming on Netflix, so anyone who hasn't seen it, this is a movie that's been kind of developing a notorious reputation. And it does certainly go into some extreme places, but I found it to be, both as a horror movie, as an excruciating experience, very effective, and also really smart, really thought-provoking, really clever as well. You know, it is about, I think, social pressures, about wanting to fit in with a group. I think it is also about, you know, sexuality and puberty, and I think it is also very much about like just the pressures of being female, and kind of how like when you're a woman, you can't not do wrong. Essentially, if you're in this direction, it's kind of like, oh, she's boring, you don't want to hang out with her. You go in the other direction, oh, she's a slut, she's worthless. And so it's kind of about this character kind of navigating those two extremes of not knowing how to fit in and then trying too hard to fit in, and just kind of like the social dynamics of the group, and using college really cleverly as a setting for that, as a way of exploring that, of exploring social pressures on women, and also exploring sexuality, and also exploring puberty and those first painful moments of dealing with sexuality and desire, and how uncomfortable it is, and how it's really messy in those first few moments of when you're exploring it. But yeah, I thought there was a lot about this movie that was pretty good, and pretty extraordinary, and pretty well done. Great performances, and yeah, great writing and direction from Julia. I wish I could remember her name, but Julia something. Definitely a filmmaker to watch. This is pretty terrific debut. So it'll be interesting to see what she does next, where she goes next. But yeah, Raw, give it a look. If you like horror, if you like body horror, if you like really extreme boundary pushing experiences, this is definitely one to check out. Streaming on Netflix, so give it a look. And I didn't talk about this one as much as I did Blade Runner, but at least I got it out there. At least I got something in there of it, because it is a smaller movie, but I think it's one worth checking out. Always want to support the smaller stuff too. Try to cover some big movies when they interest me. Blade Runner is a great film, but Raw is a pretty great film too, so give it a look. Not through Redbox. Don't want to crap on Redbox. They did give me a free code for another movie, so I'm going to use that to rent It Comes at Night for next week. But if you're going to watch Raw, don't do the Redbox. Do Netflix so you can see the original version. But yeah, give it a look. Not for everyone. Some will be really put off by some of the material in here. But if you can handle it, definitely give it a look. Let's see what we got in the chat now as we wind down and probably bring this to a close. Volsticks, digressing, Henry, but I appreciate your comments about more female presence in the film industry. It's refreshing that you're a pretty progressive dude instead of a fucking edgelord who hates everyone and everything like a lot of YouTubers. I try to avoid that. I don't find that to be very constructive, to just be angry about stuff and try to put other things down. I don't see what that's really adding to the world. So even when I hate things, I don't really see the point in just insulting someone. That's kind of a recent decision I've made in my life, of just choosing to be more positive, and choosing to be, I guess, more optimistic about things. And it's definitely had a positive effect on my life. I think I'm less depressed. I have more energy. I have more enthusiasm. So it's definitely something that's working for me. I think I've made the right decision here. But yeah, I do not want to be one of those. And I don't mean to shit on anyone else too who does do that. Like I said, there are a lot of negative YouTube channels out there, snarky kind of stuff, but it's comedy, it's fun, it's stuff that a lot of people enjoy. For me personally, not really my thing. And yeah, I kind of have made a conscious decision to really go in the opposite direction, just because I find that more enjoyable, I find that more fulfilling, and it just helps me stay sane in this crazy world of ours. So yeah, I'm glad there's somebody out there who appreciates that. So thank you for the comment. Yeah, I do appreciate that. I appreciate your appreciation. Big circle jerk now. Josso1, have you ever seen This Is Not a Movie? That's the Iranian filmmaker. What is his name? Gosh, I cannot remember his Jafar something. Damn it. Why am I so bad with names? I get frustrated with that. This Is Not a Movie, but it's the guy that did Taxi, right? The Taxi mockumentary. I might be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it's the same guy, isn't it? This Is Not a Movie. I'm writing it down. Have you ever seen This Is Not a Movie? I think it's the lowest IMDb rated movie I actually like. I can kind of see why, but worth watching at least once, in my opinion. Maybe it's not the one I'm thinking of. If it's low rated, I don't know. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'll definitely look it up. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, I thought it was one by the Iranian filmmaker that did that mockumentary Taxi, which is also on my list. That's on Netflix. I still haven't watched it yet, but it's been on my queue for a while. Need to get around to it one of these days. Let's see. Oh, talking about Begotten? Oh, okay. Talking to Jack. All right. Jack Chakudi. All right. Not my conversation. That's fine, though. I won't butt in there. Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen it. Begotten. I'll need to give it another look. I saw it on YouTube way back, which is not the ideal way to watch a movie. I'm discovering that. It definitely helps you to be able to see things clearly. Although Begotten is a pretty roughly done movie. That's kind of part of the aesthetic. I don't know. There are certain things I remember from it, though. It's one that definitely in moments really sticks with you. Oh, Volstick's talking about Raw. The main character's sister is great. Yeah, all of the performances I thought were really terrific in Raw. Yeah, the sister was really interesting. Again, kind of getting into that exploration of, I guess, just social expectations, the pressure to fit in, the pressure to be a certain way, to look a certain way, to behave a certain way. And yeah, the difficulty of coming of age and figuring out who you are and being yourself kind of in the midst of all these pressures. And yeah, kind of how the sister adds to that and the way she kind of hides certain things, projects a certain image. She is this person in public, but in private, she's this other person. Yeah, it's really interesting and subversive. Yeah, the way that kind of story of peer pressure, like in a college setting, is balanced with the horror elements and the metaphorical elements of the cannibalism. It's a really provocative movie. I think really clever in a lot of ways. Watching it a second time, especially, I got to see all the stuff I missed, but also I kind of got to think about the themes a little bit more, and it really is interesting. I love horror movies like that use visceral elements like that, but also try to bring a level of commentary to it as well, a level of metaphor. George Romero was always great at that. Yeah, movies like Ginger Snaps do it really well. And yeah, Raw, I feel, fits right in there. um, oh, oh, Sasha, I've had some requests to start my own live stream from subscribers, so I think I will when you end yours, even though it's midnight here now. Go easy on yourself, man. But yeah, great. Anyone still here who wants to, Sasha's going to be streaming after this, so you can head on over there. Give that a look. Let's see. Oh, Volstix. I saw It Comes at Night. Good, but not as great as I was led to expect. And I don't mean the trailers. I mean like Mark Kermode's review, Henry Bros, etc. Good, but not great. Okay. What's the runtime of It Comes at Night on Redbox? I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I can't really open other tabs while I'm streaming. My laptop can't really handle it. It's already heating up to ungodly levels right now. Oh, okay. The film should be 91 minutes. Okay. I'll try and make sure I'm getting the whole thing there. That was a mainstream released movie, though, or that was kind of like a widely released film, though. So I think I should be okay as far as like getting the original version from Redbox. I'm hoping, but I'll have to double check and make sure. 91 minutes. I'll try to write that down, make sure I don't forget. 91. All right. Yeah, I'll try and double check and make sure. Oh, is Felix out of here? Catch you later, Felix. Thanks for joining us. You always make things more fun. Let's see. Oh, Volstix. Yeah, positive energy is a real thing, so I'm glad you've embraced that way of thinking. Hating is just wasting energy. You're polluting yourself and other people with those negative attitudes. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it is really a choice. You kind of choose the way you see the world. You kind of choose the attitude and the energy you put out there. And I really do believe negativity breeds negativity, and positivity breeds positivity. So in whatever little way I can, I would just kind of like to put as much positivity out there as I can. And it's why I try never to really crap on movies, even if it's stuff I don't like. I know there are people out there who do like it, and I think everybody's opinion is valid. And I don't want to encourage people to hate things. I want to encourage people to embrace the things they love. You know, I don't care what it is. I don't care how much I disagree with you. Whatever it is that you love, embrace it and love it fully and love it with abandon. And who cares what anyone else thinks? It's always a better thing to really love something and embrace enthusiasm and be passionate about something than it is to try and be cynical and cool and say like, oh yeah, it does suck. I mean, I like it ironically. I mean, come on. Don't compromise yourself like that. Embrace it. Felix. But yeah, I do genuinely believe that. And I feel like people are getting a little too cynical about things. We're afraid to really embrace something and really love something for fear that someone else might come in and kind of undermine it or give us a reason not to like it. Who cares what anyone else thinks? If you like it, then like it. If you love it, then love it. Who cares what anyone else thinks? We might be at the end here. Give a last look to see if we have anything else. Some discussion of Begotten, which I really should give another look. But yeah, the DVD, the only DVD release of that damn movie goes for like $100, $200. It's kind of a hard one to find through legitimate means. But I think it is still on YouTube. But yeah, quality's not the best from what I remember. Oh, Cinnamon San, it's getting late here. Have to go find my bed. Have a good day/night. See you all later. Goodbye, Cinnamon San. Thank you for joining us. Let's see. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. Talking about Begotten, yeah. Although I don't believe that buying the film on DVD for the price it is worth it. Yeah, it's a spendier one. But I don't know. I'm a collector, so I kind of like finding those rare, kind of difficult to see movies like that. I might one of these days drop, if I get the opportunity, if I get a decent job in Portland, I might one of these days drop $100 on the Begotten DVD just to have it. Why not? And I would like to see it again. I might write it down just so I don't forget. Ooh, last space on the page. begotten. Make it nice and round. Whoops. Betten. Begotten. There it is. Okay. Jazz's Dungeon. I'm going to watch Frankenhooker afterwards. That's a fun one. That's very silly, but who's the guy that did that? Frank Henenlotter. Yeah, he's really got a sense of humor. And yeah, I think he knows exactly what he's doing when he makes a movie like that. Yeah, I enjoy his stuff. Basket Case, yeah, Frankenhooker. Those are pretty funny, trashy movies. Shameless, but entertaining. Let's see. Oh, Sasha, by the way, I thought Trainspotting 2 ran about 15 minutes too long. Well, you may have a point. It does run perhaps a bit on the long side, but I was willing to go along with it. You know, I got emotionally engaged with the characters in a way that I didn't really with the first movie. The first movie was kind of just like I was swept up by the energy of it, you know, and the style of it. It really is a movie that just kind of pulls you in and really just takes you straight through from beginning to end. Trainspotting 2, I think, does have spots where it tries to stop and develop the characters a little bit, develop the themes a little bit, and it does try to get a little bit heavier, a bit more contemplative, a bit more emotional. And I really enjoyed that. I really like that, of how it tried to expand, you know, on that world and on those characters, and really tried to contemplate the nature of life and of aging and of going from youth into middle age and on even further. So I was willing to go along with it. Maybe it was 15 minutes too long, perhaps. You could make that argument. But I think those 15 minutes, they had real emotion to them. They had real significance to them. So I was okay with it. Oh, Sasha, $100 for a DVD, not even Blu-ray at that price. Yeah, it's more for the collector's prestige of it more than anything. It's kind of like why I own all the Tetsuo movies on DVD. Yeah, well, the first one I would like to. It is one that I think is an essential. Tetsuo 2, I'm not as big a fan of, but like it's such a hard movie to see, and the DVD is so rare that it's kind of like, I have to get it. Even though I don't like it as much as the first, I just want to have it, just so I can say I have it. And if I do ever feel like watching it, hey, it's right there. But I'm a collector. I have that collector's mentality, and those artifacts, those lost artifacts, are always ones I'm really drawn to. Like, it's the same reason I own Ken Russell's The Devils on DVD in its original uncensored version. Even though I don't think that's the best movie, it is kind of like one, just because it's unavailable, I want to have it. Lars von Trier's The Idiots, stuff like that. Taxidermia, which is a masterpiece, one I would own anyway. But yeah, I do enjoy that. It's fun for me to collect stuff like that. I think we're winding down here. We're about to bring this to a close, but I'm taking a look at the last few comments. Oh, Sasha, Trainspotting 2, engaging, yes, but a bit overlong also, I felt. Fair enough. I was willing to go that extra mile with it. But again, you know, it's the whole issue of the film boner. Some get it, some don't. And definitely, yeah, it was strong enough for me all the way through Trainspotting to where I didn't mind the runtime. Yeah, I felt Danny Boyle was genuinely trying to explore real things all throughout the movie. So I don't know. Even though just as an audience member, I kind of felt like, we're maybe getting a little too long here. It was still like, but there's still stuff happening. There's still stuff I'm thinking about and I'm engaged with and feeling, emoting. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal for me. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I didn't find Mother to be in the slightest bit pretentious. In fact, when I interpreted the film in the pretentious allegorical meaning, I enjoyed the film more. That's a film that can be read any number of ways. It's like, it's kind of vague enough and abstract enough to where you really could read it as just about anything really is happening in that movie. I remember my brother, he kind of took it all to be like a hallucination. Like none of it was actually happening. It was all just like in Jennifer Lawrence's head. I took it in more of like, yeah, an allegorical sense. Like certain things were meant to represent specific ideas. But yeah, it's fascinating to read all the interpretations, especially the angry ones. I'm amazed at how angry a lot of people are getting at that movie. I read like a thing on Fox News or something, I think. It was like there were people that were really upset and calling it an attack on Christianity. Whoa, this movie is touching a nerve in some way for a lot of people. It's fascinating to see. Let's see. Jack Chakouti, was Scorsese's silence supposed to have subtitles in the scenes that weren't in English? Yes, I believe so. The version I saw, at least, it definitely had subtitles. So if you weren't getting those, I think there might have been a problem with however you watched it. Because, yeah, from what I'm recalling, those were definitely supposed to have subtitles. Let's see. Volsticks. One of the old threads on the Begotten IMDb message boards, which those are gone now, aren't they? Had a lot of people who picked up Begotten for stupidly low prices through some means or another. Some lucky bastards with good stories, yeah. Sometimes you find those. I'll never forget the day I was at a flea market and I found an out-of-print Criterion DVD of Federico Fellini's The Knights of Cabiria for $2. That was one of my proudest moments. Getting an out-of-print Criterion DVD for $2 and in pretty damn good condition too. That one's still out there on the shelf, or it'll be on another shelf soon because I'm moving. But yeah, collectors bragging stories. Let's see. Chaz's Dungeon. Tetsuo the Bullet Man is harder to find. Really? That's a more recent one. Is that one out of print already? I know it's streaming on Hulu. So if you do want to see it, if you have a Hulu subscription, you can stream it on Hulu. And from what I've seen, it's stayed on there for a long time. So I don't think it's really in danger of going anywhere. So if you can't find the DVD, you could stream it there if you have the opportunity. And Chaz's Dungeon. I have The Devils, although I don't know how I should watch the film. You're just talking about how to interpret it or like how to see it? Like, is it region locked or something? If you're talking about just how to interpret the movie, I don't know, honestly. Maybe just as a sacrilegious assault, as just an experiment, in bad taste, in pushing the limits of obscenity and freedom of speech. I'm not sure. I think those are all valid interpretations. But I only saw the movie once, and it was a very long time ago, so I wasn't able to read a lot, really, into Ken Russell's intent with the movie. Maybe there was more going on. Maybe there were more ideas, more intelligence to the film than I saw initially. I probably should watch it again, but I don't know. It wasn't one that I really enjoyed the first time. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. What mood do I have to be in? Okay. I don't know. It's a long movie. It's self-indulgent in a lot of spots. And yeah, it's shamelessly sacrilegious and what do they call that? Sacrilegious and blasphemous. Yeah, blasphemous. It's shamelessly blasphemous. So that's kind of enjoyable. So I think there's a camp value to it. I think there's a camp value to all of Ken Russell's movies. He certainly had a sense of humor. But I don't know. Yeah, it is also a movie I remember being way too long and really self-indulgent in some spots. So I don't know. Be open-minded. You definitely have to be in a patient, open-minded mood. I kind of want to go back to it, rewatch it, see if my opinion has changed or evolved over the years. Because I do still have the DVD, and it's the uncut version, one of the few releases of the uncut version out there. Let's see. What else we got here? Discussion of Mother, Chaz's Dungeon. The ending to Mother, I'd like to discuss. What I mean is that the film isn't open-ended. There are going to be spoilers, though, for anyone who hasn't seen Mother. Volsticks. Oh, have you not seen Mother? I hear it's supposed to be crazily intellectual with themes of Gnostic and Jungian theory and stuff. I suppose you could interpret it that way. I don't know. It is also a very visceral experience, just in its imagery and its intensity and its the emotional hysteria that it portrays. I read it more as the way I tend to do. I don't tend to intellectualize so much when I watch movies. I tend to just read it on an emotional level. And so for me, what I really took away from Mother was this really challenging, extreme, visceral, emotional experience that is very abstract, that refuses to really do things in a conventional way and refuses to really explain itself in a clear way, which is part of the challenge of it. So you're kind of getting these extreme images and these extreme moments, and the movie's not really telling you why it's showing you these things or why it's making you experience these things. So that's kind of where you as the audience have to pick up the reins and try to think like, okay, what am I supposed to take away from this? And you might not have an answer, but that's part of the challenge of the movie. And some people really don't like it, understandably. But I think it's a provocative movie. It's an interesting movie. It's something that should be experienced for those that handle it, because there really is nothing else like it. Chaz's Dungeon. Do you have Letterboxd, Disregarding Henry? I do. Yeah, I do have a profile on Letterboxd. I believe I go by the moniker Disregarding H, so that is how you can find me. But yeah, I'm always doing stupid crap on there, wasting my time making lists and whatnot. So yeah, you can follow me if you want. Let's see. Oh, Jack Chakuti, I saw Silence on Netflix. Okay, and it didn't have subtitles in those scenes. That is a mistake then. You maybe need to give it another watch, put subtitles on, or let Netflix know or something, because I saw it on DVD, and I believe those scenes are supposed to be subtitled. Sasha, very quickly, do you like Collateral? Very quickly, yes, I love Collateral. Brilliant movie, one of Michael Mann's best. Movies for life. I have The Empire Strikes Back on film, physical film. Wow, quite the collector's item. Got it for free as I found it in my attic after it had been sitting there for decades left behind. Wow, that's crazy. Is it like the original version, the original Empire Strikes Back? No retouching, no fixes, or digital alterations. That's crazy. That'd be quite a find. I'd love to just discover something like that in a basement or an attic somewhere. That'd be fun. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. I've heard you referring to the website a few times, Letterboxd. Yeah, it's a good one. I like Letterboxd. It's a nice film community there. I enjoy my time on Letterboxd. Jack Chakuti. What does the criticism self-indulgent really mean? For me, I take self-indulgent to mean as like a director is perhaps elongating a scene or kind of drawing a moment out longer than it needs to, just kind of as an exercise almost. It's kind of like, to me, it's a movie that has a lot of fat on it, where there are things that if you're being really brutal and you're being just really to the point and you're just thinking in terms of like, what do I need just to tell the story as simply as it needs to be told? It's movies kind of that just have a lot more fat on them than is necessary. Like Quentin Tarantino, for instance, I think is a good example of this. Do his movies need to be like 2.5, 3 hours long? Probably not. To me, like a director like Tarantino, there's a lot of self-indulgence there of him elongating scenes, elongating moments, drawing stuff out far longer than it needs to be drawn out. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of personality, a lot of a director's specific vision really lives in those self-indulgent moments. So it can be a weird kind of balance. I feel like really what makes Tarantino is that self-indulgence. If he didn't have that self-indulgence, I really don't think he'd be Tarantino. I don't think Scorsese would be Scorsese without his self-indulgence. Do his movies need as many tracking shots and visual flourishes as they do? No, but that's what makes Scorsese. It's not necessary for the story, but it's necessary for Scorsese, for him to make the movie he wants to make it. So it's an interesting kind of discussion to have. I feel like self-indulgent can be a positive and a negative to movies, depending on how it's being used, what the film is, what it's adding. So I don't know. For me, oftentimes self-indulgent can be just as much a way of praising a film for me as it is of criticizing a film. So it's different. It's different depending on, yeah, who you are, how you watch movies, and what movie it is you're talking about. Oh, Sasha just got Letterboxd 2 at another's request. Started a huge film list. Yeah, it's always fun to make a giant film list of your favorite movies. Oh, Movies for Life. Yep, original cinema print. That is the shit. That's really cool. Maybe you could do your own restoration or something. I don't know. That's a really cool find, though. Okay, we gotta bring this to a close very soon. I've been going in excess of 3 hours now, and my throat is starting to hurt. My voice is starting to give out, and I do need to start moving. Can't keep putting that off. But let's see what the last few things we have here are. Ball sticks. I might see Mother this week then. Anyway, folks, gonna jet as usual. It's been a blast. Henry, maybe do Resolution for Movie Mondays if you've seen it. I haven't seen it. But thank you for joining us, Ball Sticks. We'll see you later. Hope you had a good time. And I'll write down Resolution. Resolution from Volsticks. Cool. We'll look into it. All right, and I got a jet too, speaking of that. Let's see. Sasha, I have the original despecialized untouched Star Wars trilogy on Blu-ray, much superior to the retail version, color corrected too. Gosh, I don't know why they haven't put those out on like an official release yet. There's such a demand for them. And there's such a huge fan base for Star Wars. Like, they would make a killing. What Star Wars fan wouldn't buy the original versions of Star Wars restored in high definition on Blu-ray? I'm astonished that Disney hasn't put those out yet. It's bizarre to me. Maybe they're waiting till the new trilogy is finished. I don't know. I do not know, but I thought for certain that we would have seen that set, the original Star Wars restored on Blu-ray. I was certain that was going to come out before Episode 7, and we still haven't seen it. So I don't know. I don't know. Oh, Chaz's Dungeon. Yeah, I did post a review of 2049 on Letterboxd. Yeah, just a quick little thought on that movie. I was pretty enthusiastic about it. Yes, Sasha, you always mention that. So glad Adam Sandler and Russell Crowe did not take the parts in Collateral. That would have been a very different movie, wouldn't it? But it didn't happen. We got the right version, I think. Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise, they were the right choices. So Michael Mann, he narrowly averted it. Although, to be fair, I mean, it could have been good with those two actors, but I feel like Cruise and Fox were the right choices. I think the right movie got made. We're in the correct reality for Collateral. I'm sure there's another reality with that version of Collateral in it, and I don't think it's the right one. That's why we're here in this reality. Let's see. But we did get the wrong version of Dune, so that's kind of sad. Chaz's Dungeon, what's your opinion on the original Nosferatu? Well, it's certainly a classic. It's I don't know. Gosh, it's been a while since I've seen it. It's not one of my favorites. It's not one of my favorite silent movies. It's not one of my favorite horror movies, but it is certainly iconic. There are really memorable images in it that really do stick with you. Max Schreck as Nosferatu is really something else. He really is so extraordinarily creepy on screen. And there are visual moments in it, because it is a silent movie, so it's all visual. But there are moments in it that are really effective. That image of Nosferatu kind of coming up out of the coffin, that is really one of the all-time great images from cinema. It really is. It's an iconic moment, and I think it's a moment that inspired a lot of movies afterwards. And yeah, just the tone of it, the really creepy, doom-laden tone of it, I think also really informed the development of the horror genre, just in cinematic terms. So it's an essential one. It's a big one. It's not, it's not one of my personal favorites, but it's a movie you have to pay homage to and acknowledge its importance. So I certainly do that. I pay it my respects. But it has been a while since I've seen it. I'd kind of like to rewatch it. I haven't seen as many films, as many silent films as I should be seeing. So I need to remedy that one of these days. Oh, and from Jack, confirmation on Resolution. Yes, do that one. And also the director's other film, Spring. Okay, I'll write that one down. These last few things. Oh, Sasha, sorry I missed your last few live streams. I was asleep. Hey, no hard feelings, man. You do your late night streamings. I understand. Okay. Oh, and Sasha, only the second time I've said it. Cruise was Russell Crowe's suggestion. Interesting. Okay. Well, I'm sorry if I'm being too hard on you. I thought you'd said it more times than that, but oh well. Oh, and are you into, from Sasha again, are you into Fargo season 2 yet? Not yet. I'm going to start on that one soon, hopefully, though. And I'm just going to write down the last thing here. What was it? Spring. Okay. Spring from the same director as Resolution. That's from Jack Chakouti. You want to spell your name right. Okay. I think with that, we could probably bring this stream to a close. I got to get out of here. And I'm sure, yeah, all of us have other things to do. Chaz's Dungeon, he's got to go watch Frankenhooker. I can't keep him away from Frankenhooker. It's too important. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining me on this stream. Yeah, starting next week, hopefully we're going to be doing things a little bit different. Do about an hour-long interview conversation on that one, and then go into the normal movie discussion. Oh, Sasha, season 2 of Fargo, it's good but tame in comparison to season 1. I've heard season 2 is better, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so next week we're going to try something a little bit different, do an interview. Hopefully that'll become a regular thing. I'm excited for that. Yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about something, whatever I end up seeing. It comes at night, probably, certainly will come up next week, but whatever it is, yeah, I hope to see you there. Hope you have a good time. Hope you enjoyed your time here. Hope you have a good week. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Watch some good movies. And yeah, just celebrate life and art and all the things that make you glad to be alive. And until next Saturday, yeah, I'll see you then. That could be more elegant, but whatever. Thanks again. Bye-bye.